Hi, hello. Welcome to the WICSO overview and Q&A live stream. I don't know what to say. Just jumping straight into it, I guess. So the series is over, obviously. We all saw the ending. If you didn't see the ending, then why are you here? Go watch the ending or endings if you haven't seen them. I mean, what are we doing? But in this stream, we're going to be doing the live Q&A, so you guys can ask any and all questions about the series. If there's a future for the series, which I'm sure is one of the first questions I'll answer. Anything about the lore. For the most part, I can answer lore questions, but you know, there's room for other stuff, so I don't want to get too into certain things. So we'll see about that. You can ask about decisions, why things happen the way they did. If I had any alternate ideas for any certain eras or anything like that. I will say though that like my knowledge of the series past like World War III in the earlier episodes, I probably won't be able to answer that many questions about that because that was so long ago and that was before I even really started writing a story within the story. So the overview part will just kind of come with the Q&A. So I'll answer your guys' questions and then I might add a little extra to go along with the overview. I'm also gonna record this so I can maybe post it as a video. Hold on, my face cam isn't lined up. There we go. So, what about you all? How's it going? What are we doing today? The big pro, yeah, that's me. The big pro. I'm gonna give it a second to get some more people up in here. But now that the series is over, no one's showing up to anything. You're like, oh yeah, WICSO's over. You know what? Screw this guy. Screw his channel. Screw this guy. Now I'll make a post. If you're here, you're here. And if you ain't here, you ain't here. Just want to give it a little bit. I see all the questions. Un momento. Let me see if the yeah, I sent it there. All right. Well, we got what we got. I think maybe another few seconds. Or not. Nah, we're good. All right. So I guess we'll just start answering questions then. We'll get right into it. So, looking and searching for a decent question. Hold on. What ending is canon? Oh, okay. So I guess I'll go over that first. So there's a lot of people that didn't see like the endings. Like there's multiple endings to the series, and like looking at just like the amount of people that have watched the actual finale video and looking at the amount of people that have watched the actual ending videos, it's nowhere near close. So there's like thousands upon thousands of people that didn't see the endings. I don't know how. How do you miss that? It's right there at the end. I know there was a big mess up with the premiere where it was supposed to transition into the second premiere for the ending. Didn't happen. I don't know what happened there, but it just didn't work, and a lot of people were confused. Missed out on some of the cinematic stuff. I hated that, but you know, it's just how the cookie crumbles. Can't do anything about it now. I didn't want to do the premiere at first, which I think now, looking back, if I had the choice, I wouldn't have premiered it at all. But yeah, there's multiple endings. There's 4 endings. You can find 3 of them at the end of the actual, like, you know, episode 100 video. There's 3 end screens you can choose for the evolution ending, the merging ending, and the bad ending, or the alternate ending. The era of the first kin ending, I think is what it's called. So I guess hold on, let me do my due diligence here. Or not. YouTube has been selling lately. I can't see the donation stuff, so I have to click on it. Thank you, Isaac, for the 5. Adiz does the old empire live forever? No, you saw in the ending, it got blown up at the end. But what was the first question I was going to answer is which ending is canon? My answer to that is that there is no canon ending. It's whichever one you want. If you want the 45-minute one to be the real ending, then that's the real ending. If you want it to be the merging, then that's also the real ending. The bad ending, if you're a weirdo and you want that to be the real ending, sure, that could be the real ending. Or maybe the secret ending's the real ending. Who knows? I don't really know if we're probably past the stage now where, like, you know, spoilers can be avoided. Like, it's almost been a week. Tomorrow it'll be a week. So I mean, once again, if there's anyone here that's watching and hasn't seen episode 100 and the finale yet, then, like, come on now, what are we doing? But yeah, there's no real canon ending or anything like that. Is fourth ending lore accurate? Once again, there's no like set canon ending. I didn't make it with an idea of a canon ending in mind. It's whichever one you want it to be, and that, I guess, going into the overview section now, I made it that way. So for the future, if there's anything in the future, I have a lot to work with in terms of which one is real. You know, it could be the evolution ending is real, and then we go off of that for some future series if there is one. I don't know, I'm not confirming anything, but or we could say the merging ending is real, and we go off of that map because it's different than the evolution map, or the bad ending map, and we have some kind of, you know, dramatic start to that series if there is one. Once again, not confirming anything, just saying and throwing some ideas out there. I guess on that topic, I see a lot of people asking about season 2. Well, I'll just leave the video to you. What did it say in the video? It said WICSO will return. I'll leave it at that. So, you know, whether that means the story or the concept is up to me in the end, but I'm not 100% sure yet. But it does say WICSO will return, so it will return in some way, format. I've been thinking about doing like an offshoot lore series that is in a mapping series that is just like the cinematic stuff. But you know, I don't have a full blown movie budget and timeline to do that, so I don't know. I don't think I have time to do that, but I really want to. It'd be really cool. A short 5 to 10 episode cinematic series that just explores some background information and stuff like that. I think that would be cool. Anyway, I still can't view the donations for some reason. I'll just read them off of chat. Mr. Singer, thank you for the 2. Any arcs that you ended up scrapping? Yes, a lot. There was so World War 6 wasn't initially going to be the last battle. World War 7 was going to be the last battle, so there was going to be a whole nother World War, and then I actually just didn't get to it because of because I changed the ending. Originally the Alternites were like supposed to show up in episode 90. And then there would have been 10 episodes of alternate WICSO world. And I was like, I don't know. I think that's too much time, right? Because then it gets drawn out and then you have to add in a bunch of extra stuff. So I didn't do that. I just made them come in episode 90, at the end of episode 95. And then I did the episode 90 AN meeting, which I thought was really cool. But there was originally going to be a World War 6 before World War 7, and it was going to happen in the late 80s to early 90s episodes. And it was going to be between the Unitarians and the non-Unitarians. So it was going to be Unitarians versus Sovereigners, which is why I called South American countries Sovereigners so much, because they were going to be on the sovereign side in the Unitarian versus WICSO World War. Once again, though, I ended up scrapping that because I wanted to change. I wanted to change the. I guess. I don't know what the exact reason was. It just didn't pan out that way. Is the best way I could put it. Is I just didn't get to it. It didn't pan out that way. It didn't happen. But originally, yeah, that was what was going to happen. It was going to be. It was going to be a little bit after the War of the Elites, so I think the timing there with the ending, and you don't want to have back-to-back world wars because that's too much. So you have to have some time between the world wars. There's usually whole eras between them, and I don't know if the pacing and the timing would have worked out for the ending. But then again, like if I could, I would go back and I would rewrite the whole post-World War IV era up until the episode 90 episode. I would redo that if I could, but I can't, and what's done is done. So, who's going to win the Unitarian Sovereign War? I didn't get that far. I just knew that it was going to happen. I don't think there was going to be a... well, initially the Unitarians were going to be much more impactful for the story, and for the they were very impactful for the story, but overall there's going to be much more of them. They're going to be not necessarily larger, but there was going to be more Unitarian countries. Like there was going to be one in South America. There's going to be one. Let's see. Let me look at this map and see where else was I going to put one. I think I was going to put one in like Bangladesh. Didn't do that, but we got the whole Bangladesh community thing there instead, which was cool. But I ended up scrapping that because there was like a loud minority in the community. They were like, Unitarians suck. So I was like, all right, whatever, fine. We won't have new fun ideas. No cool countries that aren't corrupt and horrible to live in. Fine. Keep your stupid capitalist countries. I can see the donations now. Thank you, M Maxi, for the 2. Can you say Baltico noob 3 times? No, but I can say it once. Thank you, CHRX, for the 1. Thank you, Brady, for being a member. What made you change WICSO 100 into a premiere episode? A lot of people really wanted it to be a premiere episode. And I also kind of wanted it to be premiere because, sharing it as a live experience is very fun. But it was the endings that was really making me not want to do it. And I couldn't tell anyone that because nobody knew there was going to be multiple endings until the very end. Sorry. My voice is messed up today. But yeah, nobody knew it was going to be multiple endings, and I couldn't tell people, like, I didn't want to premiere it because of that, because that would give everything away. And I wanted to keep that a secret because, multiple endings is something that no one really expected at all. It's an idea that I had a really long time, but no one really got into it. So I ultimately made the idea to premiere it because when I was making episode 100, I was literally uploading it as it was premiering. So I was like, I was like making it, like finishing it an hour before it premiered. And I was like, everyone really wants it premiered, so I'm going to try to make this work. The timing, the first episode is 2 hours long, or the first part of the finale is 2 hours long, and then the 45-minute finale, which is the one that everyone saw because I premiered that one, was the most interesting. And it was supposed to line up, but then like the premiering, I did the countdown for the premiere, so it really didn't line up, and then like nobody knew about the second premiere, so it was just, I wish I didn't do it, but I ultimately made that decision because I feel like everyone wanted it premiered, so I did. Mr. Singer, thank you for the 2. Any arcs that you ended up scrapping? I actually just answered that. Kali, thank you for the 2. Why didn't Rome and Naples unite? That's a good question. I just didn't do it. They could have united, sure, but I feel like that having a separate Mediterranean country that wasn't just Rome or France or Mesopotamia, or the North African countries. I feel like we needed to spice it up a little bit there because every time that Catalonia came back, it came back for a little bit and then it was gone. And that was really the only kind of unique Mediterranean country that wasn't a part of a much larger country or empire or something like that. And Naples or Sicily is kind of similar to that, and I think it looks cool. Sardinia, Sicily, and southern Italy. Yeah, it's a cool looking country, so I kept it. Country 4W. Country W4M. Thank you for being a member. I've been a member for 6 months and I've been watching for over 1.5 years. Well, thank you for your continued support. Did I already read that one? Oh, you sent it. Okay. Thank you, X Maxi, for the 2. Can you say Baltico noob 3 times, please? I said it 2 times technically. WICSO, thank you for the 2. How did the Dutch never collapse? Fan favorite. Some countries are like really they're really favored, and if you get rid of them you get smited, like Rome, for example. Big mistake there. I try to get rid of all the episode 1 countries because why are they still around, right? But no. I reduced Caspia to a microstate. No, wasn't enough. Got rid of Rome. No, can't do that. Even had to bring back the Yellow Team as a puppet state because everyone really likes the episode 1 countries for some reason. So, the Dutch came around in episode 5 or 6, I want to say. Might be wrong, but it's just very strong country. For me, it's kind of like the Germany of the series. Germany hasn't always been united in real life, but it's always been this thing. From Prussia to the HRE to actual modern Germany. But I guess in this sense, in this series, it's literally just never gone away, and there's really been no country to challenge it to completely remove it, other than Rome and Russia. But even then, when they beat the Dutch, they didn't like disappear completely. I didn't get rid of them. And I think it's because the Dutch are kind of framed as like the big bad in the series. Like, you know, your antagonist is the brown team in Russia mostly. Well, depending on how you look at it, you know, Mesopotamia could also be your antagonist, or China and America. It just really depends on which countries you like, and you know how you view the story of the series, and you know, based on the events happening, like which countries you favor or you don't favor. So I'm not going to tell you there's a specific antagonist, but for me, that's kind of how I looked at Dutch, and that's why they were around for so long. But thank you, Rock Onion, for the 5. Was the old empire joining the Unitarians a ploy to bring them together? Was there a plan to make them independent? Long live the old empire. This is interesting. So the old empire, or Mesopotamia, because it's not the old empire, became Unitarian because it made sense. The Mesopotamian society, very pro people, very progressive, very democratic, very, once again, progressive. And Unitarianism is this ultra progressive ideology that is ultimately for the people, progressing society, past things such as racism or homophobia, like things like that, like societal or social norms that hold people back. Unitarianism just gets past that. Like, we look at modern day America, right? Religion is a hot topic because of Christian nationalism. There's a lot of debate over, you know, like, at least in the current government, there's a lot of debate on how the government should approach religion and stuff like that. Like, should there be a separation of church and state? The current government is pushing back against that, and that's an issue that is holding society back in a sense of like less religious freedom and less tolerance towards other religions. And my idea for Unitarianism is basically like that isn't an issue. We move past that because that's such a stupid thing to be caught up on in the whole grand scheme of society. And that's kind of what Unitarianism is. And that's why it came to Mesopotamia, because that makes perfect sense in Mesopotamia, like this ultimate equal society where everyone is treated well by the government. That is, once again, the old empire, Mesopotamia, whatever you want to call it, red team, blue team. So I had them join the Unitarians for that. But originally, they were going to portray the Unitarians in the ending. And it was going to be called the Night of the Black Knives. In the episode 100 video, the Alternites mentioned the Black Knife Rebellion, which is some off-screen lore that happened. But originally it was going to be Mesopotamia's portrayal of the Unitarians in World War VI. The Unitarian versus Sovereign War, which didn't happen. So that was going to be like the big plot twist in World War VI. Mesopotamia switches sides and joins the Sovereigners. They betray their ideology for the WICSO world. And it just didn't happen because I feel like there's a lot of people that say like that, you know, the Mesopotamia is the main character series. I didn't want to like reinforce that and say it has a lot of plot armor, and you know it's true. So I just didn't want to reinforce that. And then ultimately World War VI didn't even happen, so it doesn't matter. But yeah, that's all I got to say to that. There might be a little bit more, but not that I can think of right now. Darian, thank you for the 2. If you could change any arc, which would it be? Easily the Silent Era. I ran out of juice in the Silent Era. So the Silent Era is so interesting because I got out of World War V and I was happy with World War V. It actually happened how I wanted it. I know and World War V is probably the least popular World War. I think everyone agrees on that. And I think it's quality-wise probably the worst World War. And that's not to say that it's a bad World War. It's just that World War III and World War IV were really good. They were really good. World War III especially, and World War IV. I loved World War IV so much. It was so fun and awesome. World War V was a mirror of real life in the sense that these these elites are controlling everything. Everything is owned by the elites, and their profit is skyrocketing. They're profiting off of war, a military-industrial complex and stuff like that. So it was like it was a play on real life, and that's why World War IV was kind of different from the other ones, because I wanted to mirror that. Because I always mirror stuff between real life and WICSO. I've done that since the start of the series, obviously, with the names of the countries among others. But after that, though, the Silent Era, once again, I kind of ran out of juice in it, and I was like, there's stuff going on, and I just didn't I didn't have like a solid plan for the Silent Era until the ending, because I was so caught up with how the ending would go about. Remember, originally the Alternites were supposed to come around for episode 90, so you have to imagine all the extra planning I had to do for that, and then ultimately I just decided not to do that, which means that there was going to be technically a few more episodes in the silent era up to episode 95, and then from there it's just I just didn't plan it well. Basically, in short, I didn't have a bunch of notes for the silent era. I did for the ending era. I did for World War V, but that era wasn't great. Thank you, Geography Dude, for being a member. When does season 2 start? There is no confirmation of season 2. Thank you, Terma, for the 2. Will WICSO 2 be more story driven and planned out? If there is a season 2 of WICSO, it's going to be 100 times better than the first one. I will say that. I have said in my mind that if I'm going to make a season 2 of WICSO, there's going to be 2 main things I'm going with. Number 1, it won't be 100 episodes long. Maybe 50. At most it would be 50. It might be less than that. It's a lot. Trust me, it's a lot. Which means the pacing would be a lot more. But the second thing I've told myself is that it's going to be 100 times better than season 1 because I've had these 2 years to learn how this series can be made. And what all I can do with it, the different layers of the map, the religion map. I told myself if there is a season 2, then it won't be anything like season 1 at all. It will be completely different. And in regard to like if there's going to be a different map or if there will be a season 2 and there's a different map, I don't know yet because I'm not sure if I'm doing season 2, but it's there in my back pocket if I need it. Let's see what else. Oh, also story driven or planned out. Yeah, it will be way more planned out. Story driven, I'm not too sure because WICSO season 1 it got very story heavy at the end and less mapping focused, and I think some people didn't like that. So I would have to try to find a good balance with that. But Lucien, thank you for the 2. What are some other things you've scrapped? A lot. I can't really. Let me think here. I gotta pull up my notes. Let me do that. That might help us out a lot. Help me out a lot because I don't know off the top of my head. Where is it at? When? Yo, my notes are gone. Yo, wait a minute. Where are they at? What the hell? Yo, I actually don't see them anywhere. Oh god. I haven't touched the notes since 2025 because I switched my notes to my computer. I got so worried that they were just all gone for a second. All right. Some things that would have happened or almost happened. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh, actually, let's go up a little bit. Give me a second here. I swear there's scrap stuff. I just gotta read through it. Maybe at the bottom. Oh, this is a cool one. Okay, so I found one of my earliest concepts for the endings. Sorry that took so long. I had to really read for it. So one of my first concepts for, maybe the first concept for the ending actually was, the end of WICSO has a reality split or splits into 2 separate timelines. One timeline is the meeting of worlds where WICSO and real life map mix together. So it would be like countries from our world appearing on the WICSO map. And then the second reality is just the normal ending that we saw where where it wouldn't be normal ending that we saw, but it would be just a separate ending. Maybe the world ends or something like that. I don't know. But that was going to be like originally it was going to be like a reality mix. I think that would have been really cool, but ultimately didn't do that. Maybe that could have been an ending. There was going to be an Attack on Titan-ish ending where the whole world got genocided by the elites because of overpopulation that got scrapped early on. A lot of stuff about a possible season 2 here. Simulation, already got that. India was originally India was going to be the one to do the evolution in the first ending. They were going to be the ones to carry it out, but then we know the whole World War V thing where it got stolen from them and put in China, and then America got it. The whole coalition of the willing wasn't going to happen up until it happened. Like after World War IV ended, the coalition of the willing wasn't going to happen. Like I had finished recording World War IV, and I was like, you know what would be really awesome out of nowhere? What if we just had the old empire get jumped? And that's what happened in episode 70. It wasn't going to happen originally, but I did this back-to-back episodes because after I finished recording World War IV, I was like, this needs a little bit more. There we go. Coalition of the Willing. I guess that was an idea that wasn't scrapped, or an idea that came out of nowhere. I'm gonna move on to a different question though, because I can't think of any off the top of my head, and I don't want to read the thing the whole time. Let's see here. Scrapped. Kind of an MS Twister, thank you for the 5. Kind of an off-topic question. Out of every country on the WICSO map, what country's language would you say is closest to English? I haven't really thought about like languages and stuff like that, but it would be none of the languages would be anywhere near the real life languages because it's a separate civilization that developed its own languages and stuff. But I would imagine that if there was a country that had English, it would probably still be one of the Anglo-Saxon countries. So like Ireland, maybe one of the British countries from the past, maybe even the Dutch, because they kind of play the role of the British Empire in the series in a way where they have the biggest colonies and the most colonies. Yeah, I'm not really sure. I would say probably where English is most prominent in real life is where English would be most prominent in WICSO. So the British Isles. Or the Irish Isles, my bad. CTG and YT, thank you for being a member for 3 years. What do you have planned after WICSO, and what do you think of my suggestion of alternate future set in 2026, our current year? I know that I'm making another mapping series. I don't know when, and I don't know how. I don't know what it will be, but I know there's going to be another mapping series eventually, because at this point, mapping on this channel isn't just the scenario videos that I do every Wednesday and Saturday. It's always been that there's a series that runs every Saturday, or not usually every Saturday, but WICSO made it every Saturday, and it would be either Alternate Future Season 1 and 2 Alternate Future Season 2, and eventually WICSO, which lasted 2 years. Before Alternate Future Season 1, there was a mini-series that didn't turn into anything, but it was Alternate Future of the United States. Don't watch it, it wasn't any good, but there's always been series, is what I'm trying to say. So there will be something after WICSO, whether it's season 2 or if it's maybe going back to alternate future. I'm not sure yet. Well, actually, I am sure. I know exactly what I'm going to be doing, but I'm not going to tell you that. Just kidding. I don't know what I'm doing. Once again, there's a lot of avenues I could take between, once again, season 2, alternate future season 3, maybe like an offshoot cinematic series about alternate lore. I've considered that. I've considered a offshoot lore series that involves one of the endings of WICSO. These are all things that I haven't written anything about. There's no... Okay, well, I have written about WICSO Season 2, but once again, not sure if I'm doing it. But as I've made WICSO Season 1, I've written down ideas for Season 2 and things that I would do differently. So there's that. But once again, no confirmation of Season 2. But yeah, Alternate Future Season 3, I don't know exactly what that would look like. I don't think it would be like Season 2 where it's a historical map. I think it would probably go back to the modern map, so it would be probably set in 2026. Wacky Edits, thank you for the 2. Can you rank all the world wars from west to best? Worst to best. Okay. So World War 1 and 2, I don't really remember. I know World War 2 was the Gold Team versus Russia, or maybe that was World War 1. I know the old empire formulated within that time frame, but I really don't remember, and that's because like everything that happened before World War 3 doesn't really matter for the lore. But if I'm gonna rank the last 4 instead, so World War 3 through 6, I'd say the best out of those is World War 3, followed by World War 4, followed by World War 6, and then 5, and then the worst. No, wait, no. World War 3 number 1, World War 4 number 2. World War VI, number 4, and World War V, number 4. Did I say that right? You guys get the point, right? Once again, thank you X Maxi for the 2. Unrelated, have you been to King's Dominion and ridden IF 305? Yeah, I've been there, of course. Everyone in Virginia has been to King's Dominion. And yes, I've ridden the IF 305. Or no, just the 305. Great ride. Very fun. Almost blacked out on it. Wacky edits, just did yours. Only thank you, Only Fright, for becoming a member. Kaj, thank you for the 20. React to videos related to the series. I have done that before. It was reacting to your mapping videos. I don't remember when it came out, but I've done that. Mason Mappings, thank you for the 5. I have an idea for WICSO 2. You should have humanity explore the planet first, then have countries independently from each other, like in real life. Yeah, that was actually that was one of the notes. Like, if there was a season 2, then it's not going to be civilization starting in one specific spot, but it would be, there would be a few episodes maybe of like a tribal era where they kind of spread out, and then countries start, or civilizations start popping up from within the discovered tribal territory instead. But once again, that's only an if season 2 happens. I don't know if it's gonna happen. Thank you, Hunter. Thank you, Hunter, for the 5. I have an idea for season 2. At the end of the original ending, humanity goes out of the solar system and goes to a different planet and restarts humanity. So in the original ending, everyone dies. There's a time skip. The big explosions you see at the end of the original ending are similar to, if not the same as, the same explosions that wiped out humanity, and that's why you see the blank map after the smoke clears. And that is to say that there are no humans on Earth after the original ending, or the first ending, not the original ending, the first ending, the 45-minute ending. And there's a lot to be said about the endings and the ending of the series, if anyone wants to ask questions about that. But now moving on. Geography Dude, thank you for the 5. Will you have an alternative map or alternative episode like Old Empire winning World War III, but not a series, maybe a mini series? It's, you know, it's in my pocket. I've told myself that I could do that, but I would need to go back and rewatch all the episodes because once again that was a long time ago. But yeah, it's something that could definitely happen. I don't know how popular it would be, but yeah, it's in the arsenal for sure. Thank you, Jarno does for the 2. What is your own top 10 favorite countries? I don't think I've ever had like favorite countries, but I've had countries that I kind of mess with, like Norway, for example. I'm like, you know, they're not my favorite country, but I like Norway because Norway's cool. They're chill. I like let's just look at this map. I don't know. I don't really have favorites because I can't have favorites because then they would exist forever. Well, I guess some countries did exist forever, but that was more so for you guys. Trust me, if I could, I would get rid of all of the, you know, top, or every country that appeared in the first 20 episodes. If I could, they wouldn't exist on this map anymore. Like the Dutch, for example, they would have been long gone. But you know, fan favorites. You got to keep around the fan favorites. Have I? Okay, Wacky Edits, thank you for the 2. Have I played PAX Historical? I have not actually. I haven't played many mapping games at all. Only the ones that I've played on the channel, really. Okay, I'm gonna read some questions from the chat now. Can you explain, or from German Empire, can you explain what exactly happened in ending 1 when there was that fast forward scene in the future, the one where we see that war never ends? Also, why did you kill poor Neptune? So the fast forward scene at the end of ending 1 is exactly what it is. It's the future of the series, spanning hundreds of years. And eventually, you know, the world becomes full of superpowers. As you saw, there was the American superpower, there was the Mesopotamian superpower, the Eurasian superpower, and there was the Afro-Asian Oceanic superpower in Africa and Oceania. That derived from the Unitarians, which was the instance of Unitarians having most success. But the American one, by the way, wasn't Unitarian. There was a union between Pacifica, America, and Canadian Unitaria, and it wasn't Unitarian. It was just a normal union between the three. And I think that the whole North American Continental Army that I talked about in episode 100 kind of gave way for that to happen. But answering your question, at the end of that, they, war never ends, and it's kind of like if you've seen Attack on Titan and the ending of Attack on Titan, where there is a fast forward through the future, and you see that war never ends, and eventually everyone destroys each other. That's exactly what that mirrors, and not necessarily a reference to AOT, but it's definitely coinciding with the message of the entire series, which is war plagues humanity. War is an inescapable fate. But moving on from that, thank you, Nova Plays, for being a member. Can you release the maps of the endings? I'm gonna hold off on that. I think I released the episode 100 map, but I'm not gonna release the merging map at all. I'm gonna keep that for obvious reasons, just in case I need to use it. Don't want anyone jumping the gun on me there. But then again, it wouldn't be hard to copy. So, can you put thank you, official WICSO Korea. Can you put WICSO 100 End of Humanity Evolved ending in WICSO maps in the Discord, not the epilogue map? You mean the map that's on the screen right now? I think it is there. Right? This map is there, I'm pretty sure. Will there be alternate future season 3? It's more possible than WICSO season 2, I will say that. How did William Rothrock live so long? You see, like, if you start paying too much attention, then you get things like that. He's old. Very old. He's older than 90 years old in the ending, which is very impossible. I don't have any answer for that. Whoops. He's just old. I will say that I have said before that he's very young when he first appears. He's this billionaire that's in his early 20s. And I guess there's no like official lore on him, like a backstory or anything, but if I were to declare it, then he would probably come from a very wealthy family. The name, Rothrock, it kind of implies extreme wealth. Obviously a mixture of two very wealthy names in real life, the Rothschilds and the and BlackRock. Or not, that's not a last name, but it's a company that controls everything. Good healthcare. I mean, yeah, they would at this point, once again, especially when the Alternites came around, like you have to imagine like the lifespans of the world increased a lot. Like in the podcast interview between the Alternate and the human, they talk about lifespans, right? And that's when they first get there. That's what the human lifespan was. And I don't remember exactly what I said. I think it was late 80s that I said, maybe. 86, 88, somewhere in there. But you have to imagine that after the Alternates started sharing their technology with the world, it went from, maybe 86, probably all the way up to 100. That's your average lifespan, which is insane. So it made living longer extremely easy. And even though I didn't plan it to be that way, that could be the reason why he lived so long. Let's see here. Thank you, Waffleist. How do you organize the lore for WICSO? Was it like a text talk or some program? Literally, I first started was like I had the notes app on my iPhone. I would just type down ideas that I had, and basically the ideas would just happen. Like if I wanted that to happen, then guess what? It's happening, because there's so much that happens in the series. There's hundreds upon hundreds of different events between countries going to war, uniting, economic alliances being made. I mean, there's so much that happens. So every time I thought of something and something that would fit into the series, I just wrote it down. And when I recorded the episode, I would look over the notes and I would just do that list of things. Lore-wise, though, that got a little bit different. So the lore didn't really start getting like heavily written until the last 10 episodes. Obviously, that's very clear with the amount of cinematics there were. But up until episode 90, the lore wasn't super important. It was very important in some instances, with like the meteor, with the whole machine being stolen in World War V. Like there's instances of very important stuff, but that's just setting up the ending where there's the most lore. So what I did for that was, instead of writing it on my phone, I would write it on my PC, and I would literally just sit there and I would type out things that I thought would be cool, and then I would try to. I have a very visionary mind. I can envision stuff very easily. And so I would, write something down. I was like, does that work? Does that work? And yeah, that works. And, go from there. And just basically, it's just throwing out a bunch of ideas over and over again, and just keeping what sticks, and maybe changing it here and there to kind of mend with the series. But for the most part, the lore being organized is just me writing it down. And for the last 4 episodes, 5 episodes, each episode had their own script with events and the cinematic lore and stuff. Episode 100, huge script. But yeah, it was just writing it down and having it in sequential order of what would happen. It's not like a super complex system or anything like that, but it worked. So I'm cool with that. Thank you, Hunters, for the 2. What happened with Antarctica and WICSO? Nothing. There's just nothing happening in Antarctica. I mean, what could really happen with it? I know there's a huge obsession with Antarctica, but I don't know what could happen with Antarctica. Like, realistically, it's just a giant desert of ice. In real life, nothing happens in Antarctica, so why would something happen in Antarctica and WICSO? That's how I always looked at it. I mean, sure, there might be room for stuff in the future, if there is a future, maybe. I've thought about certain ideas that can happen with Antarctica, only because you guys are very obsessed with it for some reason. But yeah, I don't know. I just, what is there to do? Not much, I don't think. Let's see. What else we got? Why was the Empire not involved in the ending? So the Empire was set up as kind of like a cinematic plot point, less of a lore plot point. Like, we all know that the Empire is there. It's alternate future season 1. It's the Swiss Empire. So everyone is like, everyone knows what it is. Everyone knows it's coming, and everyone knows that if it got to Earth, then Earth would be eradicated and destroyed, and there would be no episode 100. Like, I've said this constantly, but the Empire is this huge galactic entity that is, it beat the Alternites, and it beat them pretty bad too. And the Alternites, as we know, before evolution on Earth, they were beating WICSO bad. It was straight belt. So can you imagine if the Empire got to Earth and they see the Alternites and they see the WICSO world? You know what happens? Everyone dies. There is no evolution that can save you from the Empire. No, you're dead. You think the WICSO world has big militaries? You see this whole galactic empire, so they had to go. There's no way that could have been incorporated, because they're, like, lore-wise, they're too strong to fight. You can't win against them. They destroyed the Alternites, and the Alternites destroyed Earth before evolution, so it wasn't possible. But yeah, I wanted there to be like a cinematic thing. I thought it'd be really cool to show a second barrier machine deploying, and that was by far my favorite cinematic sequence, was them deploying the machine and sealing the solar system. But yeah, I mean, once again, it wouldn't have been possible to fight them, so they had to be sealed. And as we all know, the episodes leading up to 100, we knew that there was a second barrier machine. We knew that it was being built, and we knew that they planned to deploy it when the time came, and that's exactly what happened. So, yeah. Thank you, or Sonic Chow. Thank you for the message here. Do you have winners of World Wars planned before it starts? In some instances, yes, but here's a big reveal. I do most of the series blind. Like, I just kind of go as I go. Like, once again, I'll write down certain events that I want to happen, and they'll happen. But everything in between that is me just going. I'll do an event, and I'm like looking at the map. I'm like, what do I want to happen next? Let's have Colombia invade Ecuador, and then I go over there. There was never really a set script in the first 90 episodes. It was just me mapping. And that never changed. That was always the formula. It was just me doing random things on the map. And ultimately that kind of imploded in on itself, because there is a point where you build the world in a way to which it can't change as much as you want it to. Like, after World War V, for example, when it's this great era of unity where there's a whole international law, every country's in the Assembly of Nations, no one tries to attack each other because that's in the past, right? Or not in the past, but it's very taboo. And I kind of ripped myself into a corner there. Like, it doesn't make sense for this to happen because they're so, internationally, what am I trying to say? it's so impossible, or not impossible, it's so less likely for that to happen because of the state of the world and the Assembly of Nations, so on and so forth. Like, you're not going to see this big world war come out of nowhere, because that's just simply not possible within the parameters of the world. Yeah. Did I answer that question? I think I kind of got off topic there. Were the Unitarians evil? No, not in the sense of like they had malintentions, but they were the ones that carried out the evolution or the merging, depending on which ending you're looking at. They collaborated with the elites of World War V, and you could say that made them evil, but at the same time, their intentions were to save the world by involving humanity. They knew of the evolution project. They didn't know of the merging project, which was a very secretive thing that only a select few knew about, even in the lore. Of course, that was Rothrock's ultimate plan to end war forever. But for the evolution of humanity, the Unitarian countries were all very aware of what that meant, and that's why we saw the towers in every single one of their countries. They were the ones that carried it out. Of course, activated by the rep group, but using the towers and the Mesopotamian power source, whatever that is, to evolve humanity. You know, they were all in on that. So in that sense, you could say they're secretive. Maybe, they have their intentions. I don't know if they're good or bad. That's up to you guys. I wouldn't say they're bad, but if you want to say that's a bad intention, then that's your decision to have. I don't know how to say your name. What episode was the most fun making? Ooh, that's a good question. I would say episode 100 was a lot of fun to make. It was a lot of fun to see, actually. Maybe not so much fun to make because episode 100 was a lot. It took a toll on me. I'm still down and out. I'm like a little bit burnt out. So, but yeah. Favorite episode? I really liked episode 70. The Coalition of the Willing was fun. I greatly admire cats. Thank you for the 5. How was gambling affected by the Ultranite invasion? If anything, it probably, you see like Polymarket and stuff and like Rainbet stuff all the time, right? And there would probably be like a Polymarket slip where it was like, will the Ultranites invade before June 1st, 2138? Like, it probably went up. Realistically, gambling would probably go up. Geography dude, thank you for the 2. Is there a true ending? If so, which one? There is no true ending. It's up to you guys. Whichever ending you like the most is canon. Darian, thank you for the 2. What would have happened had the fascists won World War IV? Very similar to what happened in the last few episodes of the series with the neo-authoritarian order, where they just, mess up everything. Like, all of Europe was neo-authoritarian, basically. We saw China flip over. North Africa was mostly authoritarian for a certain era of time, which wasn't very long. Thanks, Alternites. But it would have been very. And that's also an avenue that I explored as a possible ending for that war. But honestly, it would have been very similar to the current era. But I don't know how far that extends because I didn't ultimately do that. So, and that was a long time ago. Totally not a bacon. How much did you involve AOT in WICSO 100 endings? So there was obviously the most notable thing was the point. I thought that was a good scene to throw in there. It was actually an extra scene that when I was making the endings, I wasn't able to throw it in everywhere, so I just threw it in there. The whole endings, they were so, I don't want to say rushed, but I wish I had so much more time with the endings. One of the things I really wish I would have done is that in the Ultranite ending, instead of having it as an animation, I would have had it as a actual, like, me mapping it, the Ultranite victory. But I actually just ran out of time. I didn't have time because I was going home for spring break and I hadn't had it recorded yet because that was like a last minute idea that I had. So, the bad ending or the first kin ending, it would have been way longer than it was and way more detailed, but I just ran out of time. But as far as AOT goes, the point for sure, the idea of freedom, freedom from war, the messages are very similar between AOT and WICSO. In fact, they might almost be the same. War plays humanity, conflict. We can't stop fighting each other. We can't put down these guns. It's just fate. It's destiny. We can't get away from it. And you would need something to alter that fate or destiny to, get away from war. in the WICSO, it was the merging machine, which kind of goes with Evangelion. If you've seen that show, it's extremely similar, if not the same. But in AOT, it was, of course, the genocide of 80% of the world. That almost happened in WICSO through an alternate ending, but it didn't. And ultimately, I went with the merging as a way to end war forever. But I guess on the topic of endings, there was going to be 6 endings originally. I ran out of time for that. Really, WICSO 100 could have been something so much better than it was, and I'm still extremely happy with how it was. Don't get me wrong, but I think the issue was that I kept trying to add things to it, and there was a point where I was adding so much to it that it was becoming unrealistic. Like production time would have been months. So I gave myself a deadline. I said March 14th, 2026. That's a month. They gave me a month exactly to work on it. And with all the ideas that I had, there was ideas that were, they made it to the final cut, but they were very thin. There wasn't a lot of thickness to them, a lot of details and lore in them. Like once again, the first kin ending. And I really wanted to have more, more meat on the bone there. Just didn't have time. Still, once again, happy with how it ended, but there was so much room for more and improvement and stuff like that, and clarity. So there's some sections in the lore where it isn't 100% clear, and that's because I didn't have the time to make it clear. So I think ultimately it was a good thing that I gave it a stop. I think that's good because I didn't want to carry out. I told myself that at the end of the day, it's a mapping series. It's not a cinematic series. It's not a lore series. People are here for the mapping. They're not here for the cinematics. So that's why I ultimately gave myself that deadline and just got it done. But I mean, if I could, it would have been an actual movie. It would have been something way more. But I had to get myself to stop. Anyway, though, thank you for let's see here. Exalance, for the 5. Did the neo-authoritarian countries keep their ideology after World War VI? Did the ideology continue to rise after World War VI? Yes. Excuse me. Yeah. So there's 100 frames of map changes in the WICSO epilogue. And the first 20, 30, 40, 50, they do have actual, I thought of stuff like actual lore stuff, like the neo-authoritarians, they rise up a lot, and they do. And you see there's eventually a war between the brown team and Russia. The neo-authoritarians, they begin to fight each other. So yeah, they did keep their ideology, to answer your question, but to go a little bit further than that, they began to fight each other. We saw that with the Dutch and Russia. India went neo-authoritarian with the Lime team. And then those neo-authoritarian countries, as we saw, there was a point where I think the Gold team even did it, and they all jumped Mesopotamia. They lost a bunch of land. And then eventually Russia and the brown team fought each other because dictators, at the end of the day, they care about themselves the most. And that's going to lead to fighting later down the line, and that's exactly what happened in the epilogue. They fought each other. The old empire, or the Mesopotamians, they got in on that. They got some land from Russia, and Russia was kind of jumped. But, yeah, there was a lot of neo-authoritarian, and it was a very big thing. And if the series would have continued, then it would have looked very similar to the first few frames of the epilogue, where the neo-authoritarians are just expanding and taking out all of the democracies. Jeez. But it had to end, so I ended it. What else we got here? Can I show the frames? They're all there in the video, dude. The map on the screen right now isn't in Discord. Just checked. Oh, is it not? I guess I could probably post it if I remember after this. Thank you, Adi Kabadi, for the 2. Reminder, you haven't done a Thailand Empire yet. I haven't? Really? You're lying. I haven't. Wow. Good to know. That might be Wednesday's video. Zam, Adizz, can we get any information about post-episode 100 countries? I don't think there's going to be like a video about it. No, probably not. I think I'm going to leave it as is. It's your own interpretation, which, one of the main points throughout the entire series was that, it's your own interpretation. it's whatever you want it to be. And while there is lore, and while I do try to like guide you in the right way, the decision is ultimately yours on like how you want to view it. So I do want to apologize. I'm not at my best right now in this live stream. I'm very out of it. Very I woke up like 30 minutes before. And I was up very late last night. I was playing God of War Ragnarok last night. It was very fun. I'm on the last battle. I'm on the last fight, last mission. I'm very excited to get to that after this, but yeah, I stayed up till like 6 a.m. So I'm a little bit tired, a little bit drowsy, I should say. Yapper, is the Farmers Union this timeline's Romania? Yeah, very clearly. And I know that like I always say that like just because a country is called something or it's the same region doesn't mean it is that country. But like we call America America because that's where America is in real life. We call Mesopotamia Mesopotamia because that's where Mesopotamia is in real life. We call India India because it's where India is. The borders are somewhat similar. You know, there's a lot of mirrors, but yeah, the Farmers Union would be the equivalent of Romania. GX Mega, you thought about making actual states or empires from reality go to WICSO, like start making the Spanish Empire go to the colonization era of WICSO. I haven't actually thought of that before, but that might be an interesting idea. But it's just that's very specific, so you know, I don't know how much of a reach there would be for non-subscribers, non-WICSO fans. Always have to think about that. The tribes exist in WICSO, yeah, they did, but I didn't really do it that way. The way I did it was like this one mega civilization from Mesopotamia that rose up above all. But there definitely would have been tribes, and that's one of the things that I've written down once again. That if there is a season 2, then the way that it all starts is going to be very different. There would be multiple civilizations popping up at once, rather than just one in one region. What else we got? What is something you would have changed in the 100 episodes of WICSO? Good question. I would have changed the. What would have I changed? I don't think I would have changed much, but going back to what I said earlier, I would have changed the silent era a little bit. Maybe the era between World War V and World War VI, like, or not World War VI, the era between World War V and the arrival of the Alternates. I wish I would have had more of a plot there, or more of a lore, more of a, you know, I guess a story. There wasn't much. It was just kind of events happening. And that was because once again that the ending was coming up, and I was trying to figure out the ending more. So before I was trying to figure out the era, I was focusing more on the next era than the current era, and yeah, that was a mistake. But if I didn't do that, then I don't know if the ending would have happened how it did. So maybe it was a sacrifice that had to be made. Laser Taze, thank you for being a member for a year. Can you please be a Welsh Empire in season 2? I don't know. We got a long time to go before season 2, if there is one. But I will say that there's going to be a different map soon on the channel, not just for any future series, but just in general. The map that I have now, it's not the greatest, and while it served me well for 5 years, 4 years, 5 years, its time has expired. I think we need to get a better map. But yeah, I don't know. I think having a bigger map would mean there's more detail, and it would be making things like a Welsh Empire more possible because it's more pixels. So yeah, maybe, you never know. Not that I would ever remember that, but whatever happens, happens. We got Do It a Cillian here. So Alternative Future Season 1 was in the respective universe, and Alternative Future 2 ended because Swiss scientists traveled into that universe and WICSO started. How did the Swiss get into that universe as it was sealed off? So yeah, so Season 2, when I made the WICSO ending, and this is gonna be like kind of a sucky thing to officially say, but like Season 2 of Alternate Future is not very important to WICSO, other than the fact that that's the same map. And I said originally that Alternate Future Season 1 and 2 are from different universes, but after writing the ending of WICSO, I realized that that's not the case at all. They're the same universe. I don't know why I said that. Simply enough, what happened between Alternate Future Season 1 and 2 is that the Swiss Empire used a time machine to turn back time on Earth, and all the way back to World War II. So it's not a different universe; it's the same universe. I kind of told myself that there was a timeline splitting off from that, but I think that was a premature, not a premature, but it was just like a plot point that I didn't think out fully and wasn't prepared to really, evolve that into the ending of WICSO. So I will say that alternate future 1 and 2, obviously, for the lore of WICSO, it's not super important, other than the fact that the alternates are from alternate future season 1. That's really the only thing. And for alternate future season 2, it's that the WICSO map it comes after alternate future season 2. It's the same world, same Earth, no time mechanics or anything like that. It's just, straight chronological. Alternate future ends here, WICSO starts here. There's a time frame between there. So it's not a different universe, and I guess if I could go back, I would say that, or I would stop myself from saying that it's a different universe, because it isn't. It's just one chronological thing so far, 1 to WICSO. But yeah, though technically now there is definitely a timeline split now. That's well established that there's a timeline split. And I think earlier someone asked about 5 ads. Jesus. Dude, I want to say real quick that YouTube has been going too crazy with their ads recently. Like, every time I'm watching something on my TV, I get like a minute-long ads. You remember when ads were 5 seconds, 15 seconds long? What happened to that? And there's like 3 now. There used to be 1 or 2. There's 3 ads, and they're all a minute long. Come on. No one wants to do that. We don't get paid more for that either. We don't get paid more. It's the same. So, thank you, YouTube. Very cool. How does season 1 and season 2 of Alternate Future connect? I don't know. I gotta go back and watch it. It was a long time ago. It was like 3 years ago. I don't remember. But I mean, that just really kind of shows you, like, if I don't remember it, it's really not important for WICSO, which is why most people are here. Maybe I'll make a video that connects them all together better and, officially establish some kind of connection, but it's very loose right now, to say the least. Chat 3 Red Dreams. Oh, interesting name. What actually happened to the Rothrock? Is he dead? Yes, he is deceased. The big boof that killed him. 100%. Massive energy release. He did say that, I only hope that I survive, or he said something like, I only hope that the evolution machine, or the merging machine. What? I only hope that the merging machine's effects take place before I die. So, like, the energy release didn't instantly kill him, but, he's gonna die, and that was kind of the point of, like, will the evolution machine, or the merging machine, will it take will it carry out its process before he dies? And then he's kind of like, maybe that doesn't matter. Maybe even if I am dead, my soul will still merge. So, yeah, he's dead. He's definitely dead in the evolution ending, because remember the radiation thing. Radiation, if you're close to the machine, it kills you, and that was why all the trials were failing. So he definitely died in the evolution ending. He may not have died officially in the merging ending, but then again, like, everyone technically died. And then in the third ending, of course, the first kin ending, he dies from his injuries. He was shot in the rep bunker. It isn't shown that, because when you see him standing there, he's holding the machine. You can't see it, but he's shot in the chest. And then the side perspective, once again, you can't see it because it's a side perspective. I wish, man, I wish that I had more time on WICSO 100. There would have been so many more scenes. Like, the first scene of the beach scene with the alternates, the vice commander and the old commander, there was like 3 shots, but I originally had it so that there was panning shots, different perspectives of them, going back and forth. I don't have the time to do that. Just that scene alone probably would have taken a whole week to produce. And there isn't time for that, because I have college. I do videos outside of just WICSO 100. Of course, I need to keep posting videos even when WICSO 100 isn't being worked on. It just wasn't realistic. It didn't fit my timeline. But yeah. Do you use anything as inspiration when writing scripts? No, I just go. And the scripts, you know, the writing isn't great for like the dialogue and the speeches and stuff like that. Like it could be better, but and that's a result of it being kind of rushed. Like I need to get episode 100 out now, and in the final few days when I was writing the script, I was like, yeah, this is gonna have to do. It's just what it is. The main points, I always made sure to emphasize the main points of the speech. Like, you know, they might sound robotic in their talking, but what they're saying is still ultimately like it's conveying the same point. So I don't really use anything for script writing at all, which is probably why it wasn't that great. But yeah. Do you watch any third-party WICSOs? I do not. I think there was a time, like 2 years ago, maybe a year ago, where I tried to start watching other series, and I couldn't because like I don't know. I don't like I don't want to say that I don't like mapping, but I don't like watching mapping for sure. I don't like watch a ton of mapping videos, if any at all, other than my own. It's something that it's a dying interest for me for sure. So outside of just making the series and, you know, doing it for YouTube, I don't really do anything much with it. So I guess in that sense, in my free time, I wouldn't really spend it, you know, watching mapping videos and stuff like that. It'd be cool if there was a cinematic where the Empire almost breaks the barrier. Yeah. I really. So that kind of brings me back to, I think there was a question I saw earlier. It was like, why did the Empire smash through Neptune? So Neptune got obliterated, and that was to kind of show you that both the power and the scale of the entity here. Their mothership is almost as big as Neptune. It drove through Neptune. Once again, what is the WICSO world going to do? What, that thing could just drive through Earth. Like, there's no competition. Once again, why the barrier machine had to be deployed, but you'll see that in the ending cinematic, the Imperial Queen, which is the leader of the Empire, she says like a second great disappearance. Very important line there, because that means there was a first great disappearance, and that was when the original barrier machine was deployed to save the WICSO world at the end of season 2, beginning of or at the end of season 2, beginning of WICSO. And they called that the Great Disappearance because the solar system disappeared. Their origins, the divine figure of Earth, disappeared. So it's the Great Disappearance. A second Great Disappearance is when, once again, the Earth disappears again. But yeah, they didn't try to break the barrier machine because they simply don't understand the barrier machine, and the I guess the physics, the chemistry, the properties of the barrier machine are very mysterious. And I have an idea as to how it works. Realistically, of course, it couldn't work, but it's kind of like I guess I'll explain it. It's like a not like a super solid thing. It's like, for me, it's like it's a mushy thing. Like if you there's a barrier wall right here, right, and you go through it, you kind of like you push into it and it kind of expands with you, but you don't ever get past it. It's like cloth. If you put your hand through cloth, you know, you're pushing the cloth and it kind of wraps around your hand. That's how I envision the barrier machine. Where it's like you can never actually get in, but it kind of morphs around. And it's this invisible thing, you can't see it. So it doesn't look like you're doing that, but it's just empty space in between. And it wouldn't really have an effect on the interior world that's sealed. But I don't know how, because I haven't thought that far. Season 2 gonna have a fantasy map or a blank WICSO map? I haven't decided yet, even if there's gonna be season 2, but you know, not sure about that either. Can we see the $100 line? Sure. Ooh, there it is. I guess more than 100. It's right there. I don't want to change the perspective because then I have to like reset it. But right there, there's your $100 line right there. I was actually gonna make it a border in the epilogue, but I forgot. It is, how did the barrier machine end up in Europe if it was in the Swiss's Empire ship? And how did the Swiss Empires miss the Switzerland time travel to World War II? How did the barrier machine end up in Europe, on Europa? I see. If it was in the Swiss's Empire ship, oh, you mean at the end of season 2? And how did the Swiss Empire miss that Switzerland time travel to World War II? So the barrier machine, the end of season 2, I might have said that was on the Swiss Empire ship. I don't know. Once again, very loosely, I would say that season 2, or I gotta say that anything that I said in season 2, I would say take as a grain of salt. Maybe I said that, but ultimately, in WICSO, it was changed to being on Europa. There's no real lore explanation for that, other than like that's just me changing how it was. Like there didn't like canonically, there was nothing that happened. More so of like I just changed it to that, and that's why once again I'm saying that season 2 and season 1 very loosely, are connected to WICSO. Of course, same universe, same timeline of events, but sometimes you have to change stuff for it to be better, and that's one of the things that I just changed. And as far as the Empire knowing about the Swiss scientists' time travel, that happened in that happened in season 1. Remember, on Switzerland, the whole map, or on Earth, the whole map got engulfed by the green, the gloob that destroyed the world, right? But we saw that Switzerland had their own mini barrier machine that was seen in season 2 trailer. And from there, as the whole world was imploding and everyone was dying, and some people were escaping the space, Switzerland time traveled back in time to or time traveled time traveled back in time to World War II, and that's when there was that first barrier machine deployed. There was 3 barrier machines. See, like I don't know. I just once again grain of salt. I have to go back and maybe watch. I'm not sure, but maybe there was a 3rd barrier machine because the Swiss, first of all, they buried themselves to time travel. So I guess that was the first instance of it technically, and then they cut off the World War II, or season 2, if I remember correctly. They cut that off as well, and that remained that way until WICSO when it dissolved. So no, there is only one, and then the second one was deployed by the Alternites. I might be wrong though. You see, it's very loose, very loose. And the writing in season 2, obviously there wasn't much writing. The writing didn't start until WICSO, so it's hard to connect sometimes. Sometimes you just have to change things. Is Unitaria at all realistic? No, because I mean the fact that people hate it shows that it's not realistic. Like, how dare there be an ultimate society where people don't hate each other? What? It's so unrealistic. You're like, yeah, because of people like that, it's unrealistic. Next question. The prequel to WICSO is alternate future. Yeah, like those canonically they happen first, but I changed some things to make it flow better in WICSO. Make a WICSO prequel. There is a WICSO prequel technically. How do I get my voice actors? I got them through the Discord server. People that volunteered. Did WICSO World ever find out about USA, Russia, China, these old countries from season 1? No, but the Swiss Empire probably knows about them because those would be ancient legends or tales. Same for the Alternites, like they would know maybe about them, but it's for us. It's for them. It would be so long ago. It would be thousands upon thousands of years ago on a planet that got wiped clean. So there's no evidence of it. So it literally is just legends and tales. The WICSO world, of course, they're the descendants of that. They wouldn't know that. They don't know that until the Alternites maybe told them. But even then, there's no proof of it because the whole world got wiped out. Like every piece of evidence of humanity was wiped out completely. So they wouldn't know that, but just based off the tales, they would. If I had another ending, what would it be? So actually, I can just tell you what the endings were going to be. So there was going to be a Unitarian ending where the whole world became Unitarian. That was going to be like kind of the progressive, like one whole world united ending. Ultimately, there wasn't one of those, unless you consider the alternate ending being that. There was going to be, I said this earlier, but there's going to be like an AOT-ish kind of ending where the whole world just gets genocided by the elites because of overpopulation. That changed because I ultimately decided to bring back Alternate Future Season 1. So that couldn't have happened. There couldn't have been a genocide unless the elites were the ones that carried out on everybody because there was too many alternites. And now I'm starting to think that maybe that was the case, and I'm lying to you. Maybe there was going to be an AOT ending when the alternites came, because then the elites would have, they would have had the genocide on both. But how would they have carried out the genocide on the alternites? Yeah, it got scrapped for a reason. Whether it be timing or just not working. But those were the two other endings. It would have been a total of 6. Oh, there was also going to be an ending. Oh, there's also going to be an ending where the Empire comes in and wins, and they wipe everyone out. That would have been a very short ending. Very similar to the current alternate ending where they just get obliterated. That was also, so I guess there was going to be 7 endings, or 6 total endings, and then the secret ending. But yeah, the Empire was going to come in and they were going to win, but there wasn't much of a fight to be had there, so I got rid of that ending. It would be a few seconds. Thank you to Iron Arm, Bleh. Thank you for being a member. Thank you HypeX Edits for being a member. WICSO Season 2, not confirmed. It might happen, might not happen. Thank you Kaj for the 20. Read message, it too long, fit and donate. Also second time is AI. What? I don't know what you're saying. What are you saying? Do I know solar balls? No. I mean, I know what they are, but I don't know anything about them. Timo, thank you for the... I keep saying thank you as if it's a donation, but thank you for being here. How about that? Thank you. How are you doing today, Timo? Hope you're having a great day. With all the loose lore, could you maybe make a See, I can't read. I'm so out of it. I don't know why. With all the loose lore, could you make a rework for Alternate Future 1 and 2 endings or a lore overview of the series? Yeah, actually, I did discuss that in the server, I think. I was saying that I might remaster the ending of Season 2. Because the ending of Alternate Future Season 2 was made after WICSO started. And because the series just lost popularity, no one was watching it. So I just stopped making episodes for it. So in a sense, the ending was just made up on the spot. Like, there was no actual... It was a 10-episode series, so it was supposed to be 20, ended at 10. So you can kind of see how like that was kind of loose and not great. And that's exactly why it tied into the start of WICSO, because I made it that way so that it would have somewhere to go. Like, it needed an ending, and I couldn't pull an ending out of nowhere. Just I wanted to finish that series because I didn't want to have a series that just never ended. That would be bad. So I went back after WICSO started, and I just put something together, and I made it connect into WICSO Season 2. Or no, I made it connect into WICSO. And that's why it's so loose and so all over the place. But yeah, I have thought about going back and redoing it. I might do it. I don't know. Because I can do the cinematic stuff now. It'll be a lot cooler. 5-star. Did sports like basketball, soccer, and football exist in WICSO? Yeah, I'm sure. How was the European War in episode 99 supposed to end before you took all of this feedback? Well, it was going to be the neo-authoritarian victory. It didn't really change much at all. I don't think. Episode 99 was recorded over a month ago. I mean, like, that's the issue with like how long it took me to do episode 100, because like as time progresses, and I make more and more episodes, it's hard to remember every little thing that happened. So I don't think the war in episode 99 was supposed to end differently. I might have said that, but I'm not sure if there was going to be a different thing. I think it was always going to be the neo-authoritarians winning. At least that's what I can remember. What happened in the secret ending is oh yeah, so in the secret ending there was a freaking shortcut messed me up again. There's literally nothing I could do to fix it because I was uploading it as the episode was premiering, but there was supposed to be a static effect over a portion of the map, and it was just the map glitching for 40 seconds, which wasn't what it was supposed to be. It was supposed to be a filter that came in. It was like a static TV static. Shortcut, man. Trash ass program. Um, but yeah, it's a simulation. It's just basically saying it's a simulation. It says it on the wall, WICSO or civilization trial number, blah. Um, and in the description it says a long simulation. So even though it was like um hard to tell based off the visual, there's still hints there. Cheese Boy, did the voice actors of WICSO get spoilers for the series? Yeah, I tried to make it so they couldn't see like all the script. I gave them their lines, and like, I gave them their lines, and like I tried to hide it, but yeah, they ultimately got spoilers. Like you have to imagine like the vice commander, like spoilers. Yeah. Thank you, BB, for the one. No message. Why wasn't Sweden revived after European War? I mean, it was so long ago. Sweden was around so long ago. Why would it come back? It was actually going to come back, and I just forgot to put it in. I'll be honest with you. I tell you that it was so long ago, but I did have plans to bring it back, and then I forgot. Whoopsies. Norway was going to spit them out, and they were going to be a Dutch puppet state, but yeah, it just didn't cross my mind when I was making the peace treaty for some reason. So, whoops. The secret ending can be found in, I think it's the merging. I'll just tell you which one it is. It can be found in the merging ending. There's something you can do to find it. Just look around the description and the icons. Can you make an episode 101? The ending was not good enough. Oh. If you didn't like the ending, then it sucks for you, bro. I love the ending. Why did the Lime Team never come back? It did come back in the epilogue, but I mean, like people keep asking, like, why didn't certain countries come back? I mean, come on, it's like I mean, you can't just keep bringing back countries for the whole series. Something else has to happen. What happened with the assassinated old Empire leader in that cinematic at the ending of the episode? So it wasn't supposed to be like a major plot point or anything. It was supposed to be just extra lore. Like I said in the episode that the old Empire's leader was assassinated. There wasn't going to be like a plot point with that. It was just that was that, right? And the declassified file was just extra information on that. It tells you who the assassin was. It was a member or someone that was from the gold team. It just tells you information about them. So there's no plot point with that. It's literally just extra lore, extra information. Is the cinematic Google translated? No. Why would it be Google translated? Is WICSO short for Wisconsin? No. Why'd you make it look like the Unitarians were bad at the beginning? I don't think I did. I think that I probably didn't word it good. I was like saying like they don't care about religion or blah blah blah, ethnicity, stuff like that. I think it was just like a misinterpretation or a misspeaking on my part of trying to convey what they were. But no, they weren't intended to be bad. Was there any scrapped WICSO countries? Yeah, there was. Can I think of any right now? No, I can't. I think once again, like the series just kind of happens it just happened as I go. Like I would jump from here to there, and I'd think like, okay, what do I want to happen? Well, let's have something happen in South America. And then I would go over there and make something happen. Like there wasn't like a plan as to which like I would have an idea of like, okay, so in this episode, these countries are going to unite and this country is going to form. It wasn't anything like that. And the closest thing to that was really Mesopotamia. The unification of the red and blue teams. Because the WICSO world united over time in ending 1 and exploded, will we see WICSO season 2? I have concepts of season 2, but no confirmation of it. Not sure if it's gonna happen. We'll see. Regarding the end of WICSO, how on earth did the world end up with only 5 or 6 countries in the entire world, and how many years passed after the alternates were defeated by the WICSO world? So that's spanning, I mean, the epilogue spans hundreds of years, and you have to remember that it's an evolved humanity. You know, they're smarter, higher intellect, higher physical ability. So war is less common, and unification is more common. So it's more possible for there to be big united countries. But also, in most mapping series, they always end with, like, you know, a few big countries and then blah, right? So over time, I don't think that the world would remain fractured, or as there wouldn't be as many countries as there are like on the screen right now, because they're evolved mentally, physically. So I mean, yeah, there's not much to it other than that. What episode was I most proud of? Episode 100 probably. Spent the most time on that one. I'm proud of it, but you know, there's still a lot that could have been done. Don't have a favorite country. How long did it take to film episode 100? So, the recording for episode 100 was 6 hours. That was just the mapping, the cinematics. There's hundreds of different pictures or of drawings for the cinematics in episode 100. So it took a long time. I mean, I used up all the time between episode 99 and 100, and literally as I was making episode 100 and as it was premiering, I was still working on the endings. Like when the 2-hour episode was airing, I was still working on the alternate ending. I was sitting there, I was editing it. I was still editing the merging ending. I was sitting there while it was premiering. I was editing it, and I posted it. And that's part of the reason why the first option premiered, the first ending premiered, because it was the one that I already had done. So obviously I was going to show that to you, but I was still working. So I was using up all the time on episode 100. So literally hours upon hours. You know, I don't know an exact amount of time, but man, it was a lot of time. Nick, you rock for the 2. What is the purple orb at the end of all these cinematics? I don't know. We'll have to see. How did you get motivation to draw provinces? I live streamed it. Yeah, I think that's a lot of provinces. Like, even if we look at it now, there's a lot of provinces. Like, this is a lot of drawing. Look at all that. Jesus. So I just live streamed it in like 2 or 3 live streams. You know, I could at least learn, or at least, you know, talk with the community while I was doing that. In WICSO Season 2, you should focus more on the ancient and Middle Ages, as I think you skipped those times in WICSO too quickly. You didn't give them much importance by episode 50. It was like 2000. Yeah, 100%, you're right. Because I didn't think the series was going to be 100 episodes long. I didn't like pace it correctly. So if there is a season 2, then the pacing will be much better, a lot better, so much better. And if there is a season 2 going into it, I'll probably have the whole thing mapped out as to what will happen, and overall it will just be much better than season 1. So, and I think now knowing knowing community reactions to WICSO and like what people like and what people don't like, you know, these dramatic world wars, big world wars with no definitive winner, not so much like going into a season 2, if there is one, I know what you guys like, I know what you guys want, and I'll have more time to, of course, produce a season 2 if there is one, because I'm not going to be starting it anytime soon if there is one. And if there is a mapping series, the next mapping series, I don't know, like, I don't think it will be season 2. Even if there's a WICSO season 2 in the future, I don't think the next mapping series is that. So, yeah. You got 6 ad, bro. Why is there so many? I see people keep complaining about the ad, but like, I don't know what's going on. It's a YouTube thing, I think. Why didn't you ever make an ethnic map? I just merged it with the religious map, but simply enough, we were too far into the series. Too far into the series for there to be a major addition like that. Because you have to base it off the history, and I just didn't, I didn't want to go back and watch all, first 30 episodes just to make the ethnicity map. It wasn't worth the time, I don't think so. I mean, there's there's a lot of room for improvement with WICSO, which is why season 2, I'm pretty sure it's going to be 100 times better. But yeah, any country I wish I would have did more with in WICSO, India for sure. India it was constantly a super strong country, but it didn't do much up until the last few episodes, where it kind of combined with the purple and yellow teams, and they lost those. So those were very stagnant events. I wish I would have did more with India. I wish I would have did more with, really, I mean, like South America. South America became like one united block after World War IV or World War Five. World War Five, yeah, it became one united block. Didn't do much, so I wish I would have did more with that as well. There's a lot of regions which were just kind of forgotten about and really not highlighted. Like Europe was, without a doubt, the region that had the most action in it, and the most countries that people liked, like Brown Team, Rome, Russia, Norway, Ireland. Those are all major countries for the community. I feel like I also did a lot with Africa, maybe too much with Africa. I don't know. I feel like Africa in a lot of mapping is always forgotten about and always like stagnant. So I try to do a lot in Africa, especially in East Asia as well. I did a lot there. Central Asia was pretty active. So yeah, I wish I would have did more with South America and maybe Oceania, but for a specific country, India. My favorite era? Good question. That's a really good question. My favorite era was, apart from the ending era, because I'm biased toward that because of the cinematics. My favorite era was the Age of Aggression, both parts together as one. Was it the Empire that wiped humanity at the end of the evolution ending? No, it was humanity destroyed itself. That was kind of the message there. Is like you can't escape war, even in an evolved state. You can't escape it. It's a plague. It's fate. It's destiny. And that ultimately, it ended humanity again. It wasn't the Empire. The Barrier Machine, in theory, is still active there. Why do I think alternate future of the world flopped? Just because I wasn't super into it. I don't know why alternate future flopped. Season 2 specifically. Season 1 was fine. I finished that, but season 2, I don't really remember. It's season 2 for me is very forgotten. Like I don't really look back at it as like something I'm super proud of. I don't really cherish it like I will with WICSO and alternate future season 1. It's kind of like the middle child, It's, I don't know why it flopped. Yeah. Why did the series get milked so much? I don't think it got milked. I think it's extremely popular. I mean, like, if you have an extremely popular series and, thousands upon thousands of people regularly tune into weekly, why would I stop it? I mean, you want to talk about milked series, let's talk about One Piece. Thousands of episodes long. And no disrespect to that, but like, really? This is 100 episodes. This is compact. This is a long experience, but it's not like that. So I don't think it's milked. I think it's just everyone liked it. So why would I stop? It doesn't make sense to stop. Like if alternate future season 2 was super popular, it wouldn't have ended at 10 episodes. It would have kept going. What's the greatest trio in WICSO of all time? I don't really. When I think of trios in the series, the only thing I can think of is the Cold War trio: Russia, China, and the Old Empire. What do I think of country humans? No response. WICSO spinoff about alternates. Yeah, that's one of the things I'm considering is like a short cinematic series where you explore the backstory of the Alternites from them leaving Earth in season 1 to them returning to Earth. It would kind of cover that span, I think. But the thing is, like, it's a really long amount of time. So I don't know how it would go. I don't know if it would be like a story where you follow a character through the events, but that wouldn't be possible because once again it spans thousands of years. So maybe it would be like a short series about the Alternites versus the Empire. Maybe a short series about the initial days of the Alternites leaving Earth and finding refuge on Mars before eventually leaving the solar system. But there wouldn't be mapping for that because obviously there's nothing to map really. um. Would WICSO season 2 be connected to season 1? Yeah. So all of the future series are going to be connected to WICSO, and it's going to be a continuation of the same lore plot, which is why you saw what you saw in the end credits. Kind of setting up for anything in the future. Maybe that has importance. Maybe it doesn't. Who knows? Maybe I got a few ideas written down already for what comes next. But yeah, any future series, all the lore will be connected. Thank you, Kaj, for the 20. Can't believe I donate 2 times before trying to tell something. What? What? Well, then say it in the message. Can you create an interactive WICSO series? Like a viewer decided WICSO? Yeah, I don't know how that would work. It would have to be like a community tab thing, but knowing me, I wouldn't ever keep up with that, so probably wouldn't happen. I have one question. Have you noticed your series did not have equal length earlier videos for 15 minutes long, 45? Yeah. The last few episodes were hours long. That's just to cover more, like more content was covered in the last 3 episodes than like the first, 90 through 93, like, or, no. I don't know. Yeah, they're long. For sure. Yes. Just more content there. As the series was ending, I wanted more stuff to happen. So, which ending is canon? Once again, there's no canon ending. It's just whichever one you like the most is what you go with. If you could sink one country into the ocean, which would it be? We gotta sink the gold team. They gotta go. Were the bombs at the end of WICSO like the bombs at the end of World Alternate Future Season 2? Yeah. It wiped out humanity again. There's no humanity anymore. At the end, technically at the end of the first ending, humanity got wiped out again. If no ending is canon, how will you connect season 1 to season 2? You'll see. If there is a season 2. Once again, don't want to confirm it, but just saying. You'll see. Modern Gold Team did nothing. True, they did nothing, but the history, they gotta go. Have I ever hated a country? Well, I mean, you can probably guess. I keep trying to get rid of certain countries and they keep coming back. So, maybe those countries. Maybe not those countries. I don't know. I don't want to say that I hate any country because I don't think I do. Just looking at the map. I guess my least favorite country would be China because I don't know how to get rid of China. It's just always there. It's surrounded by weaker countries. So, yeah. Thank you, Kaj, for another 20. Thing wanted to say can't fit in donation. Well, then stop donating. And say it in the chat. Was the torn apart American flag on the moon seen by the WICSO world? Yeah. Obviously, realistically, you wouldn't be able to, the flag wouldn't be there anymore. It would have degraded and, it would have been gone. But I wanted to throw that in there because, it's a callback to season 1. I thought that was cool. For anyone that wants to make their own WICSO, do you have any tips for them? Yeah, well, kind of. Don't try to do what I did. Um, don't try to make a whole cinematic thing, because at the end of the day, WICSO is just it's mapping, and I did extra stuff. So focus on that. You have to have major events in the series. So, the world wars are those major events. And between those world wars, you still need to have sufficient action. So maybe regional wars or stuff like that. Um, you need to have. You don't need to have a story, but you need to have consistent lore. If a certain country acts a certain way, and that's just how they've always been, you need to keep them that way. Like for me, I always kept Rome as this kind of like aggressive society, where they're very, you know, the warlike, or for the Russians, for example, in the series, they're always set on trying to reunite all Russian lands. So you just have to be consistent with how countries act. And yeah, countries can change over time. That's evident with, how I did China, how they ultimately flipped to neo-authoritarianism. But you also need to continue to introduce new ideas. And those new ideas, typically they need to lead into world wars. So like, for example, in the era after World War III, it became very radical. It became known as the Age of Aggression, and it's because there were so many radical ideologies, and fascism, communism split the world. That led into World War IV. So you have to have building. You have to have world building. That's very important. Am I planning on making more Minecraft? And what are your general plans for the future content of your channel? We're sticking with mapping for now because that's the only thing that sticks, but do know that I have other interests, and I would love to explore those other interests, but I am bounded by the map, unfortunately, so I don't know what the future is. It looks like it might just be mapping until that dries up. And once mapping is like done, like once people stop watching it, I'm jumping ships immediately. Like, unapologetically, I'm doing other things. But it'll be very telling times to see how YouTube goes for me. I don't. Is there a future beyond mapping? I don't know. It doesn't look like it, but hopefully. WICSO anime. Um, did you originally plan to use the Swiss Empire invading, or did you always plan on it being the Alternites? Um, yeah, that's a good question. So it was always going to be that alternate future season 1 return to Earth, and um, obviously that was the Alternites that did that. But I thought that making it so like that it isn't just this one, you know, set straight thing. So if the Alternates came back to Earth and that was it, it's just the Alternates. This is alternate future season 1. There's nothing else to it. I felt like that would have been kind of boring. So I made it so like the Alternates were a rebellion from the Empire, and that adds in just so much more lore. Like there's so much more you can explore with that, just off that one simple change. Instead of the Alternates being just the entirety of Alternate Future Season 1, they are a rebellion from a much larger force that is Alternate Future Season 1. And I think lore-wise, that just opens the door for so much more, and it made the Alternites way, 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 way more interesting. Because you can imagine, like, if the Empire wasn't a thing and it was just the Alternites straight up, it would have been pretty boring. The Alternites, they would have been very plain, simple. So, it was always going to be that alternate future season 1 invaded WICSO, but the idea of there being a rebellion and there being an empire overall was something that developed within the last 10 episodes. That wasn't the plan going in for a very long time, was that there was going to be a rebellion or something like that. That was an idea that came about between episode 90 and episode 95, or maybe episode 88. I don't know the exact time, but Green France mapping, thank you for the 5. For WICSO Season 2, will it be on a fantasy-based map or a normal one or the end of WICSO map? Also, thank you so much for the memories of WICSO. You're very welcome. For Season 2, if it does happen, I haven't decided if it would be a fantasy-based map or if it would be the normal map. More likely than not, it would just be a normal map because that's what people know. Fantasy maps, they can be popular, but doing a whole series on them, it takes away kind of the aspect of relation to the real world, because I can call countries America, I can call countries Mediterranean, I can call countries Rome or India, China, Russia, Norway, Finland, and that makes it easier to follow as a series instead of giving them original names. So yeah, I think it would most likely be on a normal map, but no confirmation. Don't know. How did I make the idea for WICSO? I don't know. It just kind of happened. There was the pilot episode, which was like, that was just a normal Wednesday, scenario video. What if civilization started over? People really liked it, so I made it into a series. It's like me posting an empire video, like, what if Switzerland formed an empire? People really like that. I mean, I couldn't make that into a series, but like, it's just an example. It's just a scenario video that becomes a series. That's what happened with WICSO. I don't know how I came up with the idea. It's an idea that I came up with out of nowhere. Like, trying to think of video ideas. What if civilization started over? Sounds good, right? Obviously, it was good. Thoughts on Israel? That has nothing to do with WICSO. How long was it between episode 95 and World War VI? So that's another thing I kind of messed up. I think I said somewhere that in episode 95 or 96 that the Empire would reach Earth in a month. Obviously not the case. That was bad on my part. So between those, it was probably I'm not sure, maybe at least a year. At least a year. Why didn't I make the fascists win in World War IV? Yeah, now that you guys have mentioned it so much, this clown out of here. Now that I've seen so many people talk about it, I do remember that I did say that I was gonna have the fascists win World War IV. And I think I changed that because of the lore starting to pick up a little bit with the elites. If the fascists had won World War IV, it would have been more difficult for their... Oh, I'm remembering it all now. So, America and China were the secret super sleepers of World War IV. They were racking up bills and money while the whole World War IV was happening. That was because they were profiting off the war. And if the fascists had won World War IV, it would have been very hard for America and China to do their thing because the fascist bloc was relatively united and very strong. And it took all of the communist powers and a bunch of democratic powers to take them down. And we know that America and China were supplying both sides of that war, but they did have favorites. America had their favorites in the communists. I think China, we know that what China did in India with the whole Lime Team Rebellion and stuff like that. So they definitely had horses in the race for sure. And with their, build up of power, influence, and money, they were able to influence the outcome of World War IV, which having the fascists win would have been very counterproductive to their future. Having the communists win or the democracies winning, it would have been much easier for them to manipulate the world. And that's exactly what they did. So the communists won, and they were able to do what they wanted to do. If the fascists had won, sure, it might have been more interesting, but the whole elite thing never would have happened, and that would have never snowballed into the ending that we know. And honestly, I think World War IV was probably like if the fascists had won, the series would have ended differently. The alternates still come back, but that's a really good point. World War IV kind of determined how the rest of the series went. The communist victory ultimately led us to where we were, but a fascist victory, who knows what the world looks like then? Maybe the elites never pop up, or it's the fascists versus the elites, and who knows how that goes. That was a good question. You made me remember. Why did I make China green? Yeah. Listen, I just really tired. I'm tired of all these original countries that have been around for over 50 episodes. I just wanted to, I wanted to move past it. So I made them green. I did say that they changed their constitution, their name, their flag. It is essentially a different country, same ethnicity. So I switched it to green. It's funny because in the epilogue it changes back. But neo-authoritarian China is green. Very cool. It's kind of like how Unitarian Mesopotamia isn't Old Empire purple, but it's like a mix of the two. Just changing up the colors. We get tired of looking at the same countries, or same colors, right? Map from episode 33, and put C and P map from like episode 33, and put a layer over the map and start erasing it to see how the map has changed. Oh, I see what you mean. Okay. Let's start really. That would actually be pretty interesting. Let's do that. Let's see if I can find what my earliest large scale map is. Let's see, 31. There we go. We gotta somehow put this on that. Let's give it a try. This kind of works, right? There we go. I don't think I'm gonna be able to get it perfect, but I'll be able to get it pretty close. And also get to remember like the water changes too. There we go. It's close. Very close. There we go, maybe? I think that's it. Cool. So you said we can erase it and see how it changed. So this is the current modern map, right? We'll start over in North America. See the changes. Oh wow. See how much bigger America used to be? All the Canadian countries. South America, Central America hasn't changed at all. But South America has changed a lot. I think it's still colonized here. Yeah. Well, Colombia has almost the exact same borders. You can also kind of see like historical borders too. Like right here, this border has remained the same from when the Africans and the Irish colonized this area. That's cool. Also, same right here, like how the Lime team colonized this. The borders of South America haven't changed at all, have they? Jeez. All right, and we'll erase that, or we'll keep it actually. Let's go over here to Europe. This is where it's going to be most interesting because the alternates aren't here, but also like the daily British update. Boom. France. Oh my God, France was so small at one point. Dutch team. That's when it was beaten. Norway looks the same. Oh, Sweden. Finland at its peak. Russia when it was large. Whoa. Why does the Farmers Union look like that? Ooh. There we go. It's still ew. God, what the hell? Then we get the old empire down here. Start racing through here. Like Africa will be really cool. Yeah, African Union. Orange team. All the Nigerian countries. There's the Horn of Africa. The original Africa Unitaria. Which, by the way, this is why Africa Unitaria is able to exist as it does. It was always united like this. I tried telling you all. Mesopotamia. Cool. Central Asia will look a lot different. Oh yeah, big blue team here. India is going to look exactly the same. Yep. Which is one extra country, the teal team. Bangladesh looks different. Vietnam will look the exact same. China will look the exact same, probably, for the most part. Oh, the original Dark Sign team over in East Asia. Wow. And Japan. I forgot that Japan used to be fractured a lot. Korea owned that. Oh, yeah. See, this is like when WICSO was like, it was young. And there's just like a lot of things that like couldn't happen in the modern era. Like Korea just owning this, like modernly, how Japanese Unitaria is the whole island. You know, so like as the series progresses, obviously you can do less cool stuff with it. And that's why I think season 2 would be very refreshing if it does happen. Yeah. Wow. This is an old map. Let's get rid of all of it real quick. Come on. There we go. Yeah, all the old Canadian countries that eventually led into the Unitarian countries. We got the original California over here. I forgot that America once reached all the way over, but then they had the whole civil war with Mexico breaking away. I completely forgot about Mustard, Mexico. Original Mexico was way more south. Interesting. Ireland's colony. Ireland was like one of the last countries to decolonize. I remember that now. Libya. African Union was huge. Yeah, I mean, all of Central Africa looks so much different now, which I'm happy about because, like, I didn't want to leave Africa as this big stagnant thing. So the borders have changed tremendously. Even Tanzania looks so much more different. Central Asia looks way different. I mean, you can still see, like, the borders of the old empire here. Or what will soon be the borders of the old empire here. Caspia is there. I think Caspia has similar borders now, right? No, not at all. Seafoam was small. Indonesian Unitario is so fractured. These all eventually came together, though. Yeah. That's cool. That was a good idea. The old map looks cherishing, though. Yeah, it does. See, like, now we need to do season 2. AZ, Light, thank you for the 5. Did your plans for the Unitarian nations ever change from your original plan? If so, what were the major changes? Yeah. I kind of wrote out the Unitarians from... There was going to be a whole World War VI before the one we know. That was Unitarians versus Southerners. And I don't remember who was going to win that war. I don't think I had decided that yet. But the Unitarians were going to be much more plentiful. They were going to be all over the world. And that was going to set up World War VI. But, you know, there was a very loud minority of people that were like, I hate the Unitarians. It's so stupid. I hate ultimate societies where people don't hate each other and kill each other. It's so boring. So I scrapped it. But yeah. What else we got? Would I do WICSO what if scenarios? There is a chance. Not sure yet. But did a season 2, where would civilization start? It would be multiple starting at the same time. WICSO country draft. That would be interesting, actually. Well, this guy's cooking. Hold on. You guys, I don't know if you guys like the country draft videos. I love the country draft videos because I'm a sports fan, right? And drafts happen in sports. I can merge it with WICSO. That'd be cool. Would you consider a possible WICSO 2 map being a continental drift to make the continents in different spots and be different but not too much? Yeah, I think that's might be most likely, is that it's a slightly altered map. Show us the provinces, please. Thank you, Jim, for the 2. Boom. Wait, it is already on there. Oh, my stream is super behind. Yeah, there you can see the provinces. I'll zoom in a little bit. There. Darian, thank you for the 10. What would be the next Unitarian country to form if the series continued? Also, who funded Vietnam and Korea in World War III? India funded Vietnam and Korea in World War III. Next Unitarian country. So Iberia was never supposed to fall, but people wanted the dark side team in Iberian country back for so. Once again, original countries from the first 20 episodes of the series were very favored by the community, and I underestimated that. So when I made Iberia Unitaria, people didn't like it, so I had to get rid of that. But they were supposed to be around. There was going to be a tower there for the ending. It would have evolved Europe. It would have made the spread of the Unitarians evolving everything. It would have been a lot better, but people didn't like Iberia, so I had to get rid of it. There was going to be one in South America. But I kind of ripped myself into a corner with like the Southerners idea and stuff like that. But if there was going to be one in South America, it would have been the Chilean countries doing it. Is the ending one epilogue music copyrighted? No, all the music I use for WICSO it's they have lifetime license durations and they're free, so there's no copyright issues with that. Was the story of the Empire supposed to be different? Not necessarily. It was never gonna. When I had decided that the Alternates were a rebellion and the Empire was, this bigger threat, I never really was going to make them anything more than just being a cinematic thing that you could watch. There was going to be the ending, like I said earlier. There was going to be an ending where they came to Earth and destroyed the whole world, but I decided not to do that because I ran out of time, and I don't know how that would have worked with how the ending went. With the a lot of that is limited by like how episode 100 technically ends, because we saw it as Rothrock choosing to evolve, merge, or do nothing. But there would have to be avenues for those other options to take place there. Like, I don't know how I would build in an Empire ending coming in there. Like, I don't think it's possible. And I think originally what I was going to do was that like it would be like kind of a choose your own adventure ending where you can go to one ending and then there would be choices at the end of that one to influence a final ending. But that kind of ties into what I was saying earlier, where I was trying to do way too much for something that is ultimately, at the end of the day, just a mapping series. So that's what I had to tell myself. Would you think that the Unitarian ideas were pretty close to the gold Ethiopian? I mean, they both had the idea of abandoning religion and culture. Ethiopia just did it more brutally. Well, no, Ethiopia was my religion or no religion for Ethiopia. The Unitarians were accepting of all religions, but as I've said before, religion, it doesn't matter. It's like it's not something that you practice publicly. It's a private thing that you do at home. There's no like. I mean, there would probably still be church gatherings and stuff like that, but like the point was with the Unitarians is like they don't care about that stuff. Like it doesn't matter. We're trying to move forward. Stuff like religion, it creates debate. It slows us down. So we're not totally caught up with it. Whereas the Ethiopians, they were, my religion or no religion. Like it was like Nazi Germany. It's anything that wasn't us, you gotta get rid of. Yeah, the gold team was probably the worst, the worst of the bad countries. But don't forget, the Caspia did a genocide too. Why'd I kill off Greece? There was a bunch of democratic countries that died in episode 99 and 100. Episode 99, the name of it was Death of Democracy. It was the Death of Democracy, 100%. Basically, the last few years for the WICSO world up until the ending was everything falling apart. It was complete chaos, like I said. And this is something that I've tried to convey over and over again, but I don't think it's really stuck. But the world's in chaos. Everything's collapsing. Just imagine if the current institute of the world just fell apart. Like, imagine if democracy died in real life. What would that look like? It would look like complete chaos. So when democracy died in WICSO, these authoritarian countries, they came in, they filled that gap of power, and they began to target other democracies like Ireland. Norway was targeted. Poland's gone. Greece, they were a democracy. They fell because democracy died. China, new government, authoritarian, democracy died in China. Democracy was dying everywhere. And if the series was any longer, what it would have looked like is that more and more of the democratic countries would have fallen. So it was, in a sense, just kind of the precursor of something that didn't happen. But it's an implied that the death of democracy would continue on after the whole final battle and stuff like that. So it just started with Ireland, and then it went to Greece, and then it went to China, and then, you know, who knows what would have been next. But I don't know. That's not really, like, fully explored in the epilogue. The epilogue is very loose. Like, if I would have continued the series, it wouldn't have looked like the epilogue. That's the best that I can say that. But yeah. Um, Planning on making a video about the alternates. Do they occupy any other planets besides Earth? Yeah. The whole solar, or the whole galaxy. There's mentions of surrounding planets. I don't remember the names. It was like Epsilon, the Wolf system. Those are some of the systems that are closest to Earth, and that's where we know that there was like alternate battles happening between them and the Empire. So yeah, they occupied a lot of other planets. There's a map in one of the episodes too. Why does the Dutch own modern day French southern and Antarctic islands? I don't know, for the same reason that the French have overseas territories in real life. Same reason the British do. Just left their colonies and never got independence and just integrated with the country as a whole. Yeah, just overseas territory. I don't think those islands could be independent. I know what you're talking about. These are right here. Oops, this and this. Oh nope, that's an uncolonized island. Whoopsies. There's also this over here. It's purple. Who owns this? Oh, it's you. Duh. I was about to say. But yeah, I think there's some instances of overseas territories here and there. You'll find that most of these islands are blank. Whoops. Let's see if there's any other examples I can find. Or here, maybe? No. Alright, well then I guess this is the only instance of that, but yeah, this right here. Why was Neptune destroyed? I think that was just kind of like to show the how big the Empire's mothership was and how powerful they were. Just kind of a, you know, we're gonna drive through Neptune. Screw you, kind of thing. or farming, flexing, whatever you want to call it. Antarctica, I mean, there's nothing to be done with Antarctica. Why did nothing happen on the moon or Antarctica? I assume there was just bigger problems for the world. Something happened on the moon. Pretty major happened on the moon. But if you mean like mapping wise, Antarctica, it's a giant. It's Antarctica. I don't understand. What's gonna happen in Antarctica? How could anything happen? I mean, like, even in real life, there's nothing that happens in Antarctica. Sure, countries have claims over it, but they're not actually like. There's no like settlement. There's no civilization. It's just research labs. So I don't know why you guys would think it would be different here. There's nothing. Yeah, it's Antarctica. That's it. It's Antarctica. I don't know what else. I mean, what did you want me to do with it? I don't know. The moon though. I think there was a portion of the series like when I was in like the 60s to 70s episodes where I was like, when I didn't know what the ending 100% was going to be, and I thought that maybe there would be like lunar mapping where there would be maps on the moon. Ultimately, I didn't do that because I don't know. I didn't think it would fit the series. I think it would be weird having, this whole map we've had for 60 episodes and introducing a new map of the moon, and then there's the issue of focusing too much on the moon and not enough on the actual world. So I thought it would just be better just to stick with the actual map, and there could be things that happen on the moon, but I mean, realistically in real life, we're not super close to there being like, civilization on moon. Sure, we might be getting to the stage now where we're going back to the moon, but it's 2026 and we don't have any kind of permanent settlement there or anything like that. The world ended in WICSO in probably the 2200s, 2300s, maybe. I don't 100% know. Maybe the 2100s. The timing, that's another thing with the series. Like, there's no definitive timeline or amount of time that passes between episodes. So, I mean, yeah. But for the moon wise, I don't know if they were technically advanced enough. Now that the alternates are there, they are, because remember the alternates were going to terraform the moon to live there instead, but that didn't happen because kaboom. But yeah, I mean the alternates would have made that possible, but before the alternates showed up, that wouldn't have been possible. And the reason it didn't happen after they showed up is because once again the world is just in complete chaos and so much stuff happening, and the world has bigger priorities. So that's why nothing happened with the moon. I think that for the people asking about the next series, I would have a better timeline for you once I finish the semester in college and I get to the summer, because like I'm burnt out from WICSO. I'm just like, my brain doesn't work anymore. I've used all my brain juice in WICSO, so I need time to recharge before I start writing in the next series. But I feel like the next series will be something very good, very good. Because WICSO, it could have been better if I had been as committed to it throughout the whole process. But yeah. Am I canon in the WICSO cinematic universe? No. Please promote the MockGov. Hey everyone, go join the Discord server and join the mock government thing we have there. The Republic of Adizia. Very cool. Why didn't Mesopotamian Unitaria proclaim the old empire? That's a good question. They probably didn't want to, because the old empire was a monarchy that at one point it was kind of brutal. No, it wasn't brutal, but it was, maybe a history that the Unitarians wouldn't want to embrace fully. Like, yeah, they embrace it for sure, but not like fully. Like, they're not like, like the Romans, for example, like, or the Russians, for example, or they're super proud of their heritage. I think the Unitarians would be not less proud, but less obsessed with it. Yeah. Thank you, Jazzy, for being a member. Yo, guys, go join the mock government and the leader. I promise I'm good, right? It is. Yeah. Go join the mock government. If you want mock elections, you want to participate in democratic elections, join a political party, create legislation and laws and stuff and all that good stuff, join the Discord server. We have a pretty cool mock government going. Why are the borders of the Tibet partition so bad? Well, they got obliterated by their neighbors. Yeah, when the World War VI peace treaty was made, it was said that you can choose to take land from these countries, the alternate dominion countries, but you don't have to. And some countries wanted to take land, like almost all the countries around Tibet took land because all those countries are weaker. Like the gold team, the yellow team, the orange team, they're all weaker, so obviously they would want to take more land. China, for example, neo-authoritarian, of course, they want to take land. But then you look at like West Africa, who didn't lose any land, and that's because there's none of the countries around them wanted to take land. And that's because the land that borders those countries is relatively weak. The Mediterranean country maybe probably should have had land. I don't know. Yeah, Tibet though, they got screwed pretty bad. But Tibet kept the same borders for the whole series, so it had to change. Why didn't Ethiopia go neo-authoritarian? Well, technically they did in the epilogue, but you know that was. I mean, is that too repetitive to have Ethiopia go authoritarian again? It would be the same kind of plot line because the neo-authoritarians are very similar to the fascists. Is religion still a thing after the alternates came? Yeah, I think the alternates returning to Earth probably revived religion a little bit for the world, but it never became like you know, at the end of the day, religion is an idea or concept, so it's not like it wouldn't impact like what happens or anything. I will say if there's a season 2, I want to do more with religion to like have like holy wars and crusaders and oh man, now I want to make a season 2. There's so much like other stuff I can do with WICSO that I didn't do. It's just like there's so much potential, but I feel like it's best as a one-off thing. But if I do a season 2, it probably wouldn't be as popular. And then you know, people that say it's being milked, and it definitely would probably be on that side. But yeah, Jazzy, do thank you for being a member. Join Mako 3-party system. Yeah. If there is a season 2, yeah, there will be longer ancient medieval. If there's a season 2, the pacing is going to be better. I'll say that again. It would be better. There would be like crusades and stuff. It would follow real life lore a little bit, or real life timeline lore. But yeah, you see, like people really want season 2. I don't know. I'm gonna let it sit in summer for a little bit, give myself a break before I make a decision on a season 2. If I did a poll on it, then I think it would be overwhelmingly in favor of. So, you know, just hear me out. Let me do my other content for a little bit. Difference between neo-authoritarian and fascism. So, fascism is ideologically, it's a right-wing ideology. Neo-authoritarianism isn't necessarily on a scale. Like, it isn't like a left-wing or a right-wing thing. It's basically, you know, it's authoritarianism. It is a absolute central government. And neo-authoritarian countries, they can be left-leaning or they can be right-leaning, whereas fascist countries, you know, they're always right-leaning. So that's the big difference there. Thank you. I greatly admire cats for the 2. Mock my gov. Yep. Whatever that means. I think Unitarians would have conquered the world eventually. No, because they wouldn't have wanted to do that. They're not super, you know, in favor of war, as I've said before. They're kind of anti-war, unless they need to. Like if the Unitarians, they will try to stop war at all cases, but if they need to go to war, they'll go to war. They'll run the faith. So I don't think there's no ambition for them to take over the entire world because that's not what they want. Now it would be interesting to see that, like, if there were more Unitarian countries, that their order definitely could have evolved to where, like, if there's a country that is, you know, just horrible, human rights are out the drain, it's bad, then maybe we see an evolution in their ideology that says that maybe they want to intervene in these countries and flip their governments, kind of like how America does it. They bring democracy to the world, except they don't do it right. But maybe the Unitarians would do that, but they would do it right, and they would be like, the good guys. But I think that's kind of the issue with the Unitarians, is that they're too much the good guys, and there isn't much wrong with them. So I think that's why people maybe don't like them too much. But yeah, Unitarians, it's very interesting, but I didn't do much with them. Why did I kill off Rome in World War V? Because I keep trying to. There was a point where I was just trying to kill off the original countries. People didn't like it, so I stopped. I brought it back. Fine, whatever. You gotta know if the alternates occupied other planets. I already said that they did. How did the old empire return? How did it expand so much in the epilogue? So yeah, take the epilogue as a grain of salt. Like I did that a few hours before the episode premiered live. So there's some things that may not make sense in the endings, and that's just I ran out of time. So the epilogue wasn't supposed to be some kind of concrete example of the future. It was just showing you a future, maybe not the future. But my plan was for the epilogue was that there'd be a few wars, maybe a World War II in there, and then the world would start to unite rapidly as time progressed and society advanced. Mesopotamian society is one of the most ultimate societies in the WICSO world, amongst others, like Indian society, Chinese society, Unitarian society became one of the big ones as well. And that all eventually kind of, even European society was a thing. We saw that with the big green country in the epilogue. So it just kind of all merged together, and Mesopotamian was one of the most prominent ones and was one of the best ones, so it prevailed over all else. And in a way, it probably also suppressed the other ones around them. So is there only one empire leader? So the way that I envision the empire's government going is like there's a monarch in place, so the imperial queen, we saw her in the video, or we heard her in the video. But then I think that technically above her or under her would be a large council of commanding officers, or of leaders, supreme leaders, because it's a galactic empire. Now I don't think one person can rule that much. I don't think that's realistic. So it would probably be like a council of people, and they're at the mercy of the imperial queen, but they do most of the work, and she's just kind of like this head of state figure, like in real life, where the English have the King Charles, and he doesn't actually do much other than be the king. Like he isn't like leading the country in the war. It's not like how it used to be. It's a representative democracy, or it's a constitutional monarchy. So I think it would be kind of like that for the empire, except not constitutional, more so of this elite council of leaders that lead the empire, because it is a cruel empire. That was one of the main points, that the empire is not a good place. They are very expansive, very cruel. Rank all the world wars. I did this earlier, but ranking 3 through 6, best of those ones is 3, followed by 4, followed by 6, followed by 5, in that order. So 3, 4, 6, 5. That's how I would rank the world wars. World War 1 and 2, I don't remember much about them, so I can't rank them. How could the second kin communicate with the aliens? That's a good question. So, I would imagine that, well, okay, so obviously for the sake of progressing the series, they would need to communicate, whether that's through some kind of advanced alternate technology that translate languages or not, who knows? But they're both sentient species, and I'm sure that they would be able to figure out how to communicate. And also, you have to remember that the alternates, they were aware of Earth before they got there. The alternate leader in episode 96, he talks about how they had been scouting Earth for a while. Like they arrived there, their whole mothership got there at a certain point, but they had scouts on Earth before that, and they had known about it. So they had time to probably translate and figure out the language, and that's why he was able to broadcast to the entire world in their language, or in a popular language that most people can understand. But yeah, my favorite empire in WICSO. Good question. Not sure. I really like the Red Team's expansion in episode 17. I feel like it was kind of like a Napoleon arc for them, so that was cool in my opinion. Another thing that I would have changed about the series, I guess, is that I would have had more unique countries across the world. Like there was never a notable country in the Americas. Like there was no notable empire there, or in South America, there was never one super strong country that was just de facto. You could argue Brazil was that, but they lost. So no. And, empires, they don't usually fall how those countries fell. Like the Dutch team, their empire was expansive and large and huge, took over most of the world, and even when their empire fell, they were still strong. And that wasn't the case for like Brazil or anything. The old empire, obviously, probably the strongest entity in the series. Even when they fell, I mean, they fell hard, but they were able to, they came back still. They over the years they kind of reformed. So I don't know if I have a favorite empire per se because there really wasn't that many empires, but I did like the red team's temporary empire in episode 17. If WICSO 2 happened, will there be more ideologies? Yeah, if WICSO 2 happens, y'all gonna be blown out the water. I mean, I have so many ideas for a possible season 2. I just don't know if I want to do it because it's a lot, and I would have to, it's a big time commitment too with like the endings and stuff. So. Find out who's bigger, Siberia or Pacifica. That's a good. Let's do that. I have to select all the islands too, but maybe we can get like a good count just based off the selection of this. So 381,000 pixels for base Pacifica, and 538,000 for Seafoam Green. Yeah, Seafoam Green. Wait, hold on. There's Africa Unitaria too. 317,000. So Africa Unitaria is only a little bit smaller than Pacifica, and then Seafoam Green is the largest by far, with no contest in there. They are 538,000 pixels. Russia, 238,000 pixels. Mesopotamia is 178,000. China is 188,000. Big countries. The red team down here, 103,000 for them. Brazil is 226,000. Wow. West Africa is 155,000 pixels. Rome is 31,000. The Dutch, if I throw England in there as well. Oh, crap. The Dutch with England and Sweden and an island or two are 54,000 pixels. Oh, Canadian Unitaria might be big too. Whoa. Canadian Unitaria is bigger than Pacifica. It doesn't look like it, does it? America's 150,000. Canadian Unitaria is way bigger than Pacifica. Oh, hold on. Holy, hold on. Hold your phones. I'm sure you're already doing that, but let's select all this. Hold on. Oh, damn. And this isn't me like selecting every single pixel they own, but there's a lot of them. Canadian Unitaria is 486,000 pixels, probably 492,000 total, which is close to Seafoam Green, off by around 400 or 40,000, but notably bigger than Pacifica, which it doesn't look like they are, but they are apparently. Wow. WICSO Brazil technically speaks African, whatever African language the African Union had. Has the Empire ever been to Earth? Sun. Projection is, oh yeah. No diddle. We deal with maps here. We know what projection is. It's mapping 101. How big was Prime Brazil? Huge. I don't know. Would I introduce more plagues in the season 2? Yeah, I know season 2 would just, I mean, like, everything that you guys want in season 2 would be in season 2. Like, I have so many ideas because WICSO once again wasn't supposed to be what it was, so I was limited. But season 2 would be crazy. That's all I'm gonna say. Oh yeah, you're right. It does do color shift. I don't know why I didn't just do that. Yeah, duh. So, oh no, that's gonna no, I can't do that because all the Unitarian countries are the same color. So I guess the total landmass of the Unitarian countries, including Mesopotamia, is 1,000,000 pixels, 1.1 million pixels for the Unitarians. And I guess yeah, we could just do like the shift select thing. There we go. 542,000 total pixels for Seafoam Green. Pacifica is a total of 383. America's 154,000. Rome's 31,000. The brown team is 54,000. So they're actually very. Oh no, they're not. Ignore me. Orange Africa 158,000. West Africa 155. Wait, what? Oh no, I selected Egypt too. Yeah, no, just Orange Africa alone is 65,000. I was about to say, huh? What about like Mauritius? Mauritius 109,000 pixels. Atlantis? Atlantis is 261,000. Atlantis is 152,000. What else we got? I guess the Philippines 7,000. Philippines are small. Pink team 100. Pink team is 109,000. Russia 243,000. Yeah. 226. Brazil and Russia are similar in size. That's funny. Very similar. Like, there's a 8,000 difference, or 12,000 difference between the two. It doesn't look like it, but yeah, projection. Why did I call the Empire the Empire? I don't know. Just cool looking. Colombia? Sure. Colombia, 75,000 pixels. This is good. You guys can take this to the wiki and, like, you can do, like, well, not for all countries, but for a lot of countries. Yeah, I mean, I uploaded the map in Discord, so you guys can actually do it for every single country and add its total size, convert pixels to square kilometers or whatever. All right, I think I might be done, maybe, possibly. I don't know. I'm kind of seeing like the same questions over and over again now, so. Favorite war? I think I answered this earlier. World War IV, I think. For everyone asking why I didn't bring back certain countries after certain wars, I probably forgot about them. Read the community post questions is actually a good idea. Let's do that real quick. I'll do that, and then I'll end the stream because I don't want to see her all day. I gotta go finish. I gotta go finish God of War Ragnarok. All right. It's probably gonna be much of the same. Okay, there's one. Around the end of episode 100 of WICSO, when it said WICSO will return, is that confirmed season 2? No, not confirmed, but it just means that WICSO will return. Literally. What happened to the Empire after being defeated? Are they going to be important in the Alleged season 2? Turned around and went home. Yeah, I mean, they might try to figure out the barrier machine thing, but it's closed from the inside and there's no way into the barrier. So, you know, they're likely, you know, they defeated the Ultranite Rebellion, so they're probably going to go to the Ultranite Rebellion planets and assimilate them and, you know, put down any remaining forces. That's what they would likely do. Because they were after the leaders of the rebellion, of course, who fled the Earth. So now that the leaders are gone and they can't reach them, they'll go do, you know, finish off the process of winning the war. Here we go. Who funded Korea and Vietnam World War III? That was India. Who would make... Would you make a what if the parallelogram alliance was real? No. Is Rome a trash nation? No. Do you like alternate scenarios of WICSO? I haven't really watched any. Yeah. These are most of these questions are ones that I've already answered. What was the plot to kill the old Empire's leader in World War IV? It wasn't really a plot. It was just like extra lore behind the scenes. Like, you can read the report and what happened, and you just find out more information. There wasn't really a plot there. In episode 74, he told us America was invading the Lime, the Rue country for some reason. That would be answered later. What is that reason? So they were setting up military bases because they knew that they were probably going to go to war with China, and having those Pacific Islands as a basis for, you know, naval warfare with China. That's why. And it was kind of just revealed as being a part of World War V as a total. Favorite WICSO country? Don't have one. Why did you get rid of Rome initially, even though it was arguably the second most popular country in WICSO? Because I didn't want the old countries to be around for the ending, but, you know, obviously that here we are. Most people are just asking for season 2. Do I think I'll have a series more successful than WICSO? Why or why not? No, probably not mapping wise, because I mean, the original, you're never going to beat the original no matter what you do. So if I do a season 2, obviously I'm not going to beat the original without a doubt. So yeah, I don't know. I just need to gauge better how bad you all want a season 2. I think that's what's going to determine when and how it happens. Does the Portuguese language exist in WICSO? No. Look at my name, by the way. Eduardo. Okay. Anyways, do you like Evangelion? Yes. Very inspired. More so, I like the messaging in Evangelion, especially in Attack on Titan. The messaging is perfect, beautifully written. But you know, in order to create Peak, you need to take inspiration from Peak. So I took inspiration from a lot of Attack on Titan. Like, once again, the messaging of WICSO is literally the same messaging as Attack on Titan. You know, war, can't escape war. No matter what we do, no matter how hard we try, war is inescapable. You can kill 80% of humanity, and we're still going to fight each other. You can rapidly evolve humanity, and we're still going to fight each other. And then that kind of links into the Evangelion thing, where it's like, okay, so we can't do anything, so why don't we just get rid of everything? And you know, in Evangelion, that's what the third impact is, combining all souls into one. And in WICSO, it's exactly the same, combining all souls into one. But for different reasons. In Evangelion, it was more focused on the personal desires of the people that carried it out. But in WICSO, it was more so of stopping this tragedy once and for all, putting an end to this plague, this never-ending feat that always returns, defying fate. Essentially, is what it was in WICSO. It's different in that aspect. But the process is exactly the same. You know, we're combining all souls into one. So yeah, I probably could have did it differently, but once again, I took a lot of inspiration from other series. So, whoops. Is the Empire descendants of Russian team? Empire is just descendants of everyone that escaped from season 1. How did Iron Lung inspire WICSO? I don't think I took any inspiration from Iron Lung, but Iron Lung's good. I think Rep's leaders were good or bad. They were all bad people that were trying to do something they thought was good. Especially Rothrock. Rothrock was the most aware out of all of them, and that's why he had those options in the ending. What inspired? There wasn't. I don't think there was anything that inspired WICSO. It was just. It was an idea that I came up with out of nowhere. It was. Remember, it was originally a. It was a Wednesday video. It was a scenario video, and people wanted it to be made into a series, so I made it into a series. It really wasn't inspiration. I mean, I sit here and I think of ideas for videos, and that was just one of the ideas I came up with. So there's no inspiration for it. Were there scrapped wars? Yeah, there was going to be a whole another world war, Unitarians versus Southerners. It just didn't happen. Did you bring back WICSO series in Age of History 3? I did make an Age of. I made a WICSO map in Age of History 3. I did combine the two, but yeah. Am I one of the Swiss scientists? No. I have no. I didn't insert myself into the series at all. That's something that interesting writers do. If you put yourself in your own story, that's kind of weird. I mean, it depends on the story, but self-inserting is weird, in my opinion. How did my 7th grade history teacher help inspire WICSO? I don't think she did at all. Why did the Southerners lose the African War in the Tanzania stage? Let's see if I can remember. I think that was just an event that happened. Something that would make the Unitarians look. That a lot of the stuff that happened with the Unitarians, where they got dragged in the wars, was because people wanted them to do something that wasn't just be good. People wanted a, they didn't trust the Unitarians. They didn't like the Unitarians. Some people did. I did the poll. Most people would like the Unitarian country, so I don't know why I listened to the minority there. But, you had to switch it up sometimes. So we had the false flag thing that tried to make the Unitarians look bad, ultimately failed. If season 2, civilization would spread out from multiple areas at once, not just one area. What's going on with the secret ending? Simulation ending. Basically saying that it was all a simulation by the Swiss scientists. How long has it been passed in WICSO since the beginning of humanity in Oman? Thousands of years. I don't have an exact number if that's what you want, but it's been thousands upon thousands of years. It's a similar amount of time for our humanity when we first emerged, wherever, thousands upon thousands of years. The Empire's mothership looks very much like the angel Ramiel from Evangelion. Was the intentional or accidental? Yeah, no, it is literally the same design. Because it's cool. I mean, I didn't know what else I was gonna do for the Empire's mothership because I had to do something, and I drew the WICSO mothership, or the alternate mothership. I didn't really like how it looked. I thought it looked stupid, so I was like, yeah, we'll get something cool, something that looks different, something that catches your eye, something that's something that's once again different. Ramiel, big, big triangle, two triangles smushed together. Death. It has an actual shape name. I don't know what it is, but I thought that it would be, since I'm doing the Evangelion-ish kind of inspired ending, that why not have the alternate, or why not have the Empire's mothership be Ramiel? Why not? It's cool. Big planet-sized Ramiel mothership. Doom and death, kill. But yeah. Do I think democracy would come back after a long time? No, I think that even in real life, democracy is something that is very, it's fragile, and it's even more fragile in WICSO. And after it fell in so many areas, I don't think it ever made a strong reoccurrence in the epilogue or anything like that. I think that from there on out, it was mostly authoritarianism or some new form of ideology that we haven't discovered yet in the real world. Um, it was my favorite mapper back in the day when I watched it. I don't know. I didn't really watch, like, I don't know. I just watched mappings. Okay, I didn't watch mapping a lot. Like, it wasn't something that I actively, sat down and was like, oh, I'm gonna go watch a mapping video. That's not the case. It was more so of like, I would watch a few like alternate future series. Like if they were short enough, I would just go through those. And those were traditional mapping, of course, nothing like WICSO. It was your good old fashioned mapping series. And I would watch a few of those, and I would jump into different ones. I don't think I ever had a mapper that I specifically watched. Did the Swiss scientists really die? Yeah, they died in Alternate Future Season 2. But they do have time travel, which makes it so that they can still appear. Which ending did I like the most? I like the souls, the merging ending the most. I wish I just would have had more meat on the bone for all those endings though, because I just didn't have time. Yeah, it wasn't rushed, but I ran out of time. I got the basics down. I got the minimum down. Um, and then when you get the minimum down, you can add a bunch of details to it. I didn't get to add a bunch of details, so was WICSO fun to make? Yeah, it was a lot of fun to make, but at times it was exhausting. Next plans for YouTube in general, just continuing mapping. I don't really have any plans to pivot from that anytime soon. I'm kind of on like on a not a hiatus, but on a prolonged absence from serious mapping until I feel like it again because uh, I mean WICSO 100 took a lot out of me. Honestly, it really did. And having to do college and being back home, I was on spring break when I finished WICSO, so I was trying to balance that with family. I spent more time working on WICSO than I did with my friends' family, which sucked, but I had to get it done. If I could have, I would have delayed it more, but I didn't want to. So I spent most of my spring break working on that. Pulled a couple all-nighters. Wasn't fun, but at the end of the day, it's done. I'm gonna answer like maybe a few more, and I'm probably gonna head out. Um, will Snoop Dogg be a voice actor in season 2? I don't know if season 2 will have all the cinematics like season 1 did. I love it, but I don't know if it fits. It takes so much time. So much time. Maybe it'll be like the original cinematics where it's just like Ross Rock and Zhang meeting and the video call thing. Like that was like a minute long. So maybe it'll be something like that, not like these actual like 10-minute long things. And the voice acting too. I feel like if season 2 happens, then the voice acting is going to be a lot better because it won't be me voicing half the characters, and I'll just have one character hopefully, and I can use my actual voice instead of going like, "Attention, second kid, it is I, the alternate leader," or being like Fuzang, where it's like, "Their time is the font." I can't do it. The time has finally come, comrades. Yeah, and it's just me using deeper voices. If there's another character that I voice, it could just be my actual voice. Like, the alternates are approaching. We gotta go now. Like, you know, I don't know. Just throwing that out there. But, what will I switch to when I'm done with mapping? Whatever I want. I like gaming. I'll probably do a few gaming series, but I don't know if that sticks because modernly YouTube has turned into you can't do what you want to do on YouTube anymore. It's just personalities and celebrities run the platform now. So yeah, it's not like what it used to be. So I don't know. Once this niche dies out, I might be cooked. People don't want to watch gaming videos anymore. People don't watch my videos for me. They watch it for the mapping. So I don't know. It would be hard to do anything other than mapping. What episode would I be born in? I don't know. Whichever episode happened in 2006, maybe. Mesopotamia Unitaria had its color because I wanted. I mean, there was already a lot of like Unitarian blue on the map, and Mesopotamia, you know, was such a unique country throughout the whole series. So I made it kind of like purpley, and it formed from the red and blue teams uniting, which automatically signals to people old empire. So I made it like a purplish hue because it isn't the old empire. It's Mesopotamia Unitaria, but you know it's there. If you know, there's that I guess reflection there. When was the simulation ending conducted? I mean, did you see the map in it? This is conducted. What? It was conducted before everything, obviously. I mean, yeah. If you guys want to like measure the WICSO map, I uploaded all the maps or a lot of the maps in the Discord server. You can download them and you know check it for yourself. Get like an accurate like you can get the size of all countries in World War III, World War IV, World War V, the modern era, and you know some of the earlier episodes too, and in between as well. I didn't add a river map. I don't. Do I have a river map on the normal world map? I think I do. I don't know. I just never did. Does the simulation ending apply to all endings? No, it's just. I mean, look into it a little bit more. I'll say. Hi, Coda. Are the countries at the end of the evolution ending fully canon? Very loosely because I wanted to make it so like one of the original messages I was gonna have in the ending is that like the series is yours, so the rest is up to you. and kind of like everything that happens after episode 100 is, you know, fan made, or, you know, the fans can control it. That's why I uploaded the map. But the epilogue is there just like as a basis, I guess. It doesn't have to be canon if you don't want it to be canon, but yeah, it's there as like a, I guess, kind of a reference. Why did Iberia Unitaria have a unique color? I don't think it didn't. It was the same. But the colonization, this was kind of boring since it was like one country in America, then all decolonized. You have plans to make it, or to get scrapped? Well, yeah, I mean, WICSO wasn't supposed to be 100 episodes long back then, so I didn't, you know, the eras were very short because I thought that it would end at around 50, 60 episodes, not 100. That's why the first couple eras are so scrunched up and, you know, not the most prolonged. Why did I choose a gray for India? Yeah, the colors palette for WICSO, I mean, certain colors appear way too, like, there's too many blues for sure. Too many blue, purple, pinks. So when that happens, you know, you start going to non-primary colors, so like gray, for example, brown. There's even like the Farmers Union is like a very creamy white. But yeah, I mean, just gray for Russia and India. I think there was other gray countries, but looking at the map, I don't think I see any. But historically, there were. Cold War era as long as heck. Yeah. Like, I mean, that's about the time that I knew that it was probably going to start turning into a longer series, so I made it more detailed. The Cold War era and the Age of Aggression are both the longest eras. I mean, there's a lot going on in both of those, and I think that's why people like them so much, because they're so detailed. But I think people also have a soft spot for like the historical, like the earlier part of the series as well. Yeah. You can name the material or the alternates used to make the mothership. A realistic one? No, I don't. I never even thought about that. I can give you a. I'll give you a name, I guess. We'll call it Centauri Inium. Centaurinium. Centaurinium. Centaurinium? Centaurinium. Like Alpha Centauri, but Centaurinium? That's what it's made out of. Alternate mothership. Canon. Write it down. Put it on the wiki page. Obsidian. Titanium. No, we're going to call it Centaurinium. Centaurinium. Oh my god. Centaurinium. There. Centaurinium. Obsidian? I don't know if that would work. But yeah, I'm seeing like a repeated countries now, so I'm gonna actually go ahead and probably get to ending this stream. Do some other things. I do want to say that I have this for future reference. Shout out to my friend who gave me this. I can maybe use this. It's a drawing pad. Who knows? Maybe there's good things to happen in the future. Maybe not. Who knows? Sorry, I just banged my mic a bunch of times. Pause. But yeah, I'm gonna end the stream here, guys. Thank you all so much. Is there an official wiki? There isn't an official one, but there's the fan made one, which is still really good. A lot of fan made stuff on that though. Anyway, yeah. Thank you guys for coming here. I've answered a lot of questions. I don't know if this is gonna be made into like a video, like a community overview or anything, because It's a 3-hour long recording now, and yeah, I don't know. If you weren't at the live stream, then shame on you. You know, you don't get the Q&A, you don't get the overview. Go rewatch the live stream. Maybe. I don't know. But yeah, I'll consider it. I don't know. This might be the last WICSO content for a while, so thank you all so much for the support on today in this stream, on the series, and just for everything in total. These are some really good questions. I was able to answer pretty much all that I thought that I would answer. No confirmed season 2 as of yet, but there's a possible chance that it happens. And yeah, so thank you all for watching, and I will see you all on Wednesday.